Radio and on ESPN.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers.
Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Here's what's happening. Alabama football coach Nick Saban given a 3-year extension. It keeps him with the Crimson Tide through the 2028 season. Second round of the NBA playoffs. Met star guard James Harden will miss Game 2 versus the Bucks tonight with what the team's calling right hamstring tightness. He was sidelined for 18 games in the regular season with a right hamstring sprain. It's not easy to be without a player of Harden's stature, but if any team can handle his absence, Brooklyn can, believes former Pelicans coach Alvin Gentry.
They've got so much depth that, you think of what Kyrie can do, what Kevin Durant can do, and then when a guy like Blake Griffin step up the way he did, I still think they're going to be a team that's going to be hard to beat 4 times before they can beat you 4 times.
Alvin Gentry on our morning show. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin, Game 2, 7 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Blue Jays will continue to play their home games in Buffalo, the home of their AAA affiliate, through July 21st. The Blue Jays unable to play in Toronto because of Canadian border restrictions caused by the pandemic.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, and an app that lets you bank anytime, anywhere, choosing Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers.
Fumble! Right away on a Monday. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. I hope everyone had a great weekend. I know I did. It was a lot of golf, which that's all I really need.
How'd it go?
Not very good. Yesterday was really, really good. The day before, I'm not joking. I'm curious how many people run into this. I think it's just me because I'm horrible at everything I do. Like literally Saturday, I was out at Heatherwood. Love that damn golf course. Really nice. First time out there. Really cool. Shout out to those guys. They run a heck of a course out there. But it was as if I had never picked up an iron before. I couldn't swing my driver. Couldn't swing my irons. I couldn't putt. I couldn't do anything. It was absolutely the worst. Literally the worst freaking day on the course possible. And there's nothing worse than when you spend good money to golf and you just golf horrible. I just feel like you just waste money. And that's how I felt. But so yesterday, went right back out on the course, and the cicadas are horrible. How many I didn't really hear any or see any at Heatherwood. I was at Community yesterday. Community, you can't hear yourself think. They were flying all over me. They're on my shoulder. They would fly on the ball. Right time, I was squaring up to the ball, and all of a sudden I looked down and there's 2 or 3 cicadas all surrounding the ball. One time I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to drive it anyways with the cicada on the ball. And right as I swung through, you hear, bzz, like you just and it was a hell of a drive too. It went the distance. That's all I needed it to do. But a very good weekend. How about you?
Solid, man. I took your advice. I cut my grass as soon as I got home on Friday, and then I fell asleep on the couch after that. So that was my Friday. My Friday was shot. But then Saturday, got out a little bit, hit up the green, had some lunch with some friends outside and everything like that. Then on Sunday, did more of the same, laying around the house, enjoying the good weather we got, man.
Absolutely. And by the way, the nap post mow is like one of the best naps. Like post golf napping is the absolute best. Post mowing napping is right up there too. The sleep is just unbelievable, especially in these hot, humid days.
Crack the cold one.
Oh yeah. There you go. So interesting weekend. Some news broke that really kind of caught me by surprise a little bit. We knew Julio Jones was going to be traded from the Atlanta Falcons. We just didn't know where. We knew there were some possible good landing spots. The Titans were one of the landing spots. I just didn't think that they would be the premier landing spot for the star wide receiver, the aging, or I should say the getting up there in age star, and Julio Jones, who outside of that injury last year has not really showed signs of slowing down, but this was the right time for the Falcons to move on from him. You never want to wait until he slows down to want to move on from him, albeit A.J. Green and the Cincinnati Bengals. Sometimes you want to count your losses early a little bit and kind of go from there. So I think that the Falcons made the right decision here. He does end up with the Tennessee Titans, a second round, some late round picks as well in the upcoming year's drafts. That's all it took for the Titans to give up to be able to get Julio Jones. It makes you think, though, not having to give up a first, only a second, and then some, fifth rounders and some later round picks in the years to come. I'm surprised more teams were not in the mix on this. But the Titans, I think, got a steal because I think that the Titans are in win now mode. That's why I always say it's not what you give up. It's not who you're getting in return. It's who you're getting in return at the timing of where your team is at and ready, their ability to be able to contend. The Titans they want to contend.
Right.
They have Derrick Henry. They have A.J. Brown. Ryan Tannehill has been, a very, very good quarterback. That defense, though, is what the Titans' identity was as of 2 years ago. Last year, they missed the playoffs after, making a nice deep playoff run to the AFC title game the year before. They didn't get back there. They didn't even get back to the playoffs, mainly because of the fact that, you don't have that defense. So the defense is going to be
they got back to the playoffs.
They got to the playoffs. Sorry, they lost early.
To Baltimore.
Sorry, yeah, they won the division, right? They're tied with the Colts at 11-5. My bad on that. But the bottom line is adding Julio Jones. What does it do for me, for the Titans? I don't think it does a whole hell of a lot, Kev, because unless they're able to stop people, I like this move. I think if their defense is just slightly better, they were an 11-win team last season, even with that defense. They're very similar. They remind me of the Cleveland Browns, except the Browns upgraded their defense in the offseason. The Titans did not. They made an attempt. I just don't think they made any home run additions to the defense. I like this move. Good for Ryan Tannehill. You have the best running back in the game. Now you have probably the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver, arguably, in the game, and A.J. Brown and now Julio Jones, if Julio's healthy, of course. I like the move. They definitely didn't make them worse. I just don't know if it moved the needle for me to say, oh, they're definitely one of the favorites to come out of the AFC. I still think with that defense and with the powerhouse offenses in the AFC, when you look at the Browns, when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, when you look at the Bills, and if you look within their own division at the Colts, if they are able to get a little bit of that quarterback that they got from the Eagles, if they could just get a little bit of Carson Wentz back on track, those are four offenses right there that I don't think that Tennessee defense can stop. So that's going to be my concern right there. Hell, the Bengals offense, had a very big game against them last year as well. So Tennessee's defense is my concern, but I do love the addition, no doubt.
For me, it's I feel how the Titans feel about this. If they get a healthy Julio Jones, they got to steal. But if they got a banged up, aging Julio Jones, it's no good. I mean, he's coming off of he only played 8 games last year. Also, he's had trouble in years past with his feet, and something like that Shaquille O'Neal battled when he was aging as a star in the NBA was feet issues. He wasn't able to work out. He wasn't able to do conditioning and everything like that. So if you're a receiver, your second biggest attribute is your feet outside of your hands. So if you're unable to run routes, what good are you? For me, I'm going to bet on Julio Jones being healthy coming into the season and making a big impact for them. What he's looking for is a strong arm quarterback. Now, Tannehill is a strong arm quarterback. So the routes that they actually run with their wide receivers aren't really those deep shots. They're those over routes, those under routes, and let their big receivers make big plays across the middle and yards after catch type of plays. That's what A.J. Brown is really good at. But when you have a running back like King Henry, Derrick Henry, you're going to get one-on-one coverage on the outside because they're able to run the ball so well with that offensive line and King Henry. So you're going to get those one-on-one shots. It's just a matter of if I'm getting him confused with the other aging wide receiver in the NFL. If Julio can still get that explosive separation, I'm going to bet on Julio being able to do that.
Yeah, and keep in mind the Titans had one of the best offensive teams. They were a very efficient offense last year. A lot of that had to do with Derrick Henry. You have Derrick Henry's back, still the best running back in the league. You had Julio Jones with A.J. Brown. Look, like I said, I don't know. This is strange because you add one of the best wide receivers in the league to an already decent offense. I just don't know if it makes them better. It makes them slightly more dangerous offensively, but I don't know if it makes this team better. I still think that they're going to be my pick to win that division because the Colts, if Carson Wentz is just slightly better than last year, I think the Colts are the favorites to win that division, even though the Titans have a sexier roster. I think the Colts are more well-rounded. I think that they have a perfect balanced offense to go with one of the top defenses in the league. That's why I think I would take the Colts over the Titans if we knew what Carson Wentz, that they were getting.
Right.
But because we don't know who Carson Wentz is, I still have to go with the Titans to win this division, but it's not a very good division at that. I mean, look, Jacksonville, they just had the number 1 overall pick. They're completely rebuilding, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, still probably a team that's going to most likely battle it out with the Texans to finish in last place. The Texans, it went from a quarterback dispute between them and Deshaun Watson to now it's a bigger than life off the field issue now with Deshaun Watson, the Texans. I give him zero shot in this upcoming season. It's really between the Colts and the Titans, and the Titans are the only team that you basically know who you have. Even without Julio Jones, you know who the Titans are. They're going to be a 10 to 12 win team. They're going to win that division. Not the best defensively, but very dangerous offensively. The Colts, though, are the X factor. Carson Wentz is going to be the wrench in all of this, because if he can return to decent form, the Colts are winning that division. But I just don't know if Julio Jones makes the Titans a lock at anything. It's just another good weapon on a very good offense. I just don't know how much better he makes them. That's all.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I just think that, like, if you want to play the other side of the coin, you have a good quarterback in the NFL, and you say you let Corey Davis walk to the Jets. We all believe that Julio Jones is better than Corey Davis. So you're able to basically upgrade with a potential Hall of Fame wide receiver to replace, you know what I'm saying, a good receiver in the NFL. So if you look at it from that aspect, like, okay, they've upgraded, but how much is that upgrade worth? What is that upgrade going to get you? Because like you said, they won 11 games last year, and I was looking at ESPN, and it only moved them to their projected win total by half a game by adding Julio. So you're expecting him to make those plays in the playoffs. You're expecting him to be there in crunch time, in those moments where those 50-50 games can go either way. You're expecting Julio to make big plays that he made with the Atlanta Falcons. Is he still able to do that? I'm going to bet on yes.
The teams that you thought were going, where did you think he was going to land?
Man, I was hoping that was Green Bay, because I really wanted to see Aaron Rodgers squirm. Like, you know, I'm the players guy on the show. I always root for the players and everything like that. But it would have been very funny to see Aaron Rodgers go back to Green Bay, because best believe if the Green Bay Packers were able to pull off that move for Julio Jones, he couldn't say anything. He would have had to go back to camp. He should have. What's the saying? Your tail tucked. You know what I'm saying? He would have had to do that. So that's what I was rooting for. But I thought that a place like the Raiders were going to get him, because that seems like a Raiders move to get an aging star receiver and, you know, just fade off into
Vegas,
oblivion.
You know, just that star power, which the Raiders don't have that.
Right.
Khalil Mack, you know, they let him go. That was one of their bigger names. They just don't have, I mean, who's their big star? They don't have a big star.
No.
As flashy as
Josh
Vegas
Jacobs
is. That's not a flashy name. He's a very good running back, but it's not like, you know, there's no shock and awe on that roster. I mean, Gruden is the problem. I mean, he's the star of that franchise, and he's not good at his job. Period. So that's what I find interesting the most. So the team, I mean, here's the teams I thought really should have tried to make a run at him. I thought that the Patriots, it would have been a no-brainer to try and get him. Imagine if Mac Jones ends up being the quarterback, to have Julio Jones in the weapons that he has at tight end to be able to work with. Or hell, let's say Cam Newton, you know, does turn it around and has a full off season, you know, kind of returning to norm. We'll see what that could do for the former MVP. I thought that would have been huge for the Patriots if they were able to pull that off. Again, when you look at what the Titans gave up, a second round pick this coming up draft, or the 2022 draft, and then some third and late round picks for upcoming drafts. So I think it was only 3 combined picks total. It wasn't much. I don't care. Even the teams that are strapped for cash is going to be why some teams probably weren't able to pull this off. But as far as resources, draft picks, I'll give up draft picks for a proven player over a hopeful player any day, especially when you're close to being a contender like the Patriots are. The Baltimore Ravens, still strange to me, still very strange to me that they, you know, I'm very confused as to why they didn't go all in on trying to get Julio Jones. Because that's the other one. If Aaron Rodgers can turn his back on Green Bay and say, you didn't do enough for me, Lamar Jackson could pull the same card. Like, I think the Ravens have done. I think the Ravens have done him more of a disservice than what the Packers have done to Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has the best receiver in football, and he's over there complaining and crying like they haven't given him anything. Lamar Jackson, they've let him drown. They've let him drown because they haven't given him any weapons offensively. And you know who's getting the hit for that? Lamar. He can't throw. He can't. You know, his passing game's horrible. It's on him. It's on him. You know why I said last year that the pressure was all on Baker Mayfield? Because there was no more excuses after that. It would not have been on the coach. It would not have been on the bad organization being it was going to be on him and him only. It's because he had every weapon imaginable. And if you can't win with every weapon imaginable, that is solely on you. Well, now the Ravens, they drafted a lot of wide receivers. Don't get me wrong. They added Sammy Watkins, but those still aren't enough names that I think that Lamar can elevate. I think Lamar is a better passer than what he has looked like the last couple of years, but I also don't think he's a top 5 passer in the league. So I do think you need to provide him with some weapons to elevate his game a bit. So I feel like the Ravens let him down, because if you look at what the Titans gave up, The Ravens could have done that. They could have done that and then some if it meant providing Lamar Jackson with the true number one wide receiver, and the Ravens still don't have that. I'm not a fan of the Ravens letting that one go. You look at some other teams around there, Denver Broncos, they don't know. I mean, they have a good wide receiving core. There's lots of talks that could end up being the destination for Aaron Rodgers, although it may not be this upcoming season. But you're right, the Raiders in that division, even Justin Herbert, who I thought was fantastic last year. He didn't look like a rookie last year. He looked like an aged veteran. He made a lot of very good throws. I thought that would have been a good landing spot as well. The Titans just interest me. That's an interesting landing spot for him. I know he didn't pick it. That's just because I thought of all the teams that needed him, I don't think that the Titans needed him, which is why I think this is an interesting move right there.
You would have gave up a first rounder?
Depending on who it is, like the Patriots, I think because they don't draft well to begin with, the Patriots should have possibly looked to go that route, and because they're going to have a late round first pick anyways. I mean, what's the difference, Kev, between and I know you're locked in on don't give up first rounders for him, but if the Patriots are picking number 26 or 27, what's the difference between the 27th pick and the 33rd pick in the draft?
Right,
not a whole lot. So that's but depending on who you are, but if you're a team like the Giants or you're a team like Washington, who's most likely going to be a top 10 pick next year, I wouldn't have given that up. Right. So yeah, I'm on board with that.
I get you there. Yeah, I'm with you. If you're a team that's like, all right, man, if we just get one more playmaker, let's roll the dice. And
the Seahawks, the Niners, guys like that.
You know what? There it is. The Seahawks. That's I like Tyler Lockett. I really like DK Metcalf. But if you add Julio to that mix, now you're cooking with grease. Now you're cooking with some real hot grease out there, man. So that's the team that jumps out to me the most that should have made a splash for it.
That's what I would say about the first rounders real quick. I'm with you on if you're a bad team, giving up a first rounder doesn't make any sense. But when you're a team that is a piece away like that first rounder, what you're going to be picking late in the first round anyway. So that first round pick doesn't mean as much to you picking number 26, 27, or 28 as what it would to a team like the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Bengals or other teams who are picking in the top 10 every single year.
I think GMs try to fan scare too, though. Because I think they always have that what if we don't win it? Because if you win the Super Bowl, you make a run to the Super Bowl, at least you can say, well, it was worth it. We gave it a good shot. But if you lose, in the wild card round, you're thinking to yourself like, man, we shouldn't even gave up that pick for him, man. We could have got somebody else. It wasn't worth it. It's all about, the result. If you make a run to the Super Bowl and for goodness sakes win it, oh yeah, it was worth it. We give up multiple first rounders if we can win a Super Bowl. It's all results based.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. But yes, the big news out of the National Football League over the weekend, because they can't just have a quiet weekend. I think Roger Goodell pulls the strings of when trades are made, right? Like they just dominate headlines every single week, every single weekend. This is June. This is their off month, and here the NFL is still grabbing headlines left and right. But we are live on Facebook. Head to Facebook, search The Justin Kinner Show. Like, subscribe there. You can watch us and hang out with us weekdays from 3 to 6. You can also jump in the chat section and let your opinions be heard on the topics at hand, and we'll pull your comments into the show and interact with you that way. We're also live on YouTube. Head to YouTube and make sure you subscribe to ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Listen, stream, and now watch. Ron Howard on Facebook says the Titans are a run-first offense. They have a new offensive coordinator that could take a while to make it work. This is why I actually think Julio Jones could be even bigger in Tennessee, is because they are a run-first offense. They're not dependent on Julio Jones. Atlanta became very dependent on him. Luckily, they had Calvin Ridley to take some of that pressure off of him. But as much as they're going to depend on Julio in the passing game, they're still going to be a run game first offense. Right. It's not going to be Julio Jones. I mean, Julio Jones' numbers are going to drop. They're going to drop, and it's not because I think that he's bad. If he's healthy and on the field, his numbers will still drop, not because he's worse. It's just because his role's different. Atlanta was a pass-first offense. This is a run-first offense. Ron, I don't say this often, but good observation there. Vincent Waller, also on Facebook, says this move makes the Titans in the group with the Browns, Bills, and possibly the Ravens as the second tier in the AFC behind the Chiefs. That is if their defense can be average or above. Vincent, I completely agree. This is where the Titans are that interesting in-between team. I think the Colts are in that same group as well. The Titans are dependent on the defense to elevate, and the Colts are dependent on Carson Wentz to elevate. I think that the Titans and the Colts if one of those two things works for both of them, they could be elevated right up there to that second tier group. And I agree with Vincent. The first tier is the Chiefs. As much as I love the Browns roster, there's something missing. Maybe it's Baker. I don't know what it is yet, but there's still a gap between the Chiefs and the Browns, as talented as that Browns roster is. Same thing with the Bills, and same thing, of course, with the Ravens, who you just don't know if that was enough receivers to elevate that passing attack. But yes, I agree with you, Vincent. If the Titans defense elevates just slightly, they're right up there in the pack. The AFC's very deep, very deep. But if you break it up into tiers, still no one comes that close to the Chiefs. Like, there's still a significant gap between you had the coaching, you had one of the greatest quarterbacks already of all time. Don't care if that's a very hot take. I don't think it's that hot of a take, but I think we've seen enough of Patrick Mahomes already to know that he's cemented his name as one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Just where he'll fall on that list that'll be ironed out over the next decade, hopefully, of his career. But man, the AFC is going to be fun this year because the Steelers are interesting. The Bengals, yes, are interesting. How big of a step?
Wow, look at you hear that, Bengals fans?
No, I've said this before. They're the most interesting last place team in the National Football League. Justin Herbert and the Chargers. Interesting. Like, I love everything that's going on in the AFC right now. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. On the other side, Kev Nash brings us over under. Actually, we have a lot in there. We have a little bit of a box. We have a couple boxing questions in there. How about the news about Nick Saban today? Nick Saban. Buckeye fans, don't get too excited. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, or is he? We'll talk about that. Plus, is Jesse Winker with the Reds pulling his best Trevor Bauer impersonation? I'll explain all of that coming up on the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy with showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high near 82. Tonight's also going to be mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms, a low near 70. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy with showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high near 83. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Ready for renovations? Arts Rental Equipment has the tools you need to make your home, lawn, and garden stand out this year. From brush chippers to cutoff saws, no job is too small or too big. Visit your local Arts store today. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
Jess's 30-minute bike boot camp? I guess it's that kind of day.
Are you ready for a total body workout, Peloton fam?
I am.
We'll start the class on the bike and then move to the floor. Let's get it.
With Peloton instructors right in your home.
Are you feeling it yet? Let's keep pushing for 5.
You have
4.
motivation that's ready when you are.
Clip off that bike and meet me on the mat for lunges.
I got this.
You showed up today, Peloton. Who's feeling sweaty and strong?
Definitely me.
Tap into your motivation at onepeloton.com.
At Napa, when it comes to serving you, our motor never quits. And when it comes to getting you the part you need when you need it, with next day delivery or same day pickup, our motor never quits. And when it comes to making a difference in our local communities by hosting fundraisers and food drives, our motor never quits. And when it comes to telling you our motor never quits, yep, you guessed it. Our motor never quits. That's Napa know-how. Same day pickup and next day delivery available at participating stores and on in-stock items only.
Ready, set, summer. Start your summer off fresh with savings on washers and dryers during the Memorial Day savings event at the Home Depot. Give your laundry room an upgrade with big savings in-store and online on top appliances like LG high-efficiency top-load washers and dryers for just $6.98 each. Right now, you'll save a bundle. So kick off your summer with the Memorial Day savings event at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Free delivery on purchases of $396 or more. Valid through June 9th.
This is the sound of a popular American motorcycle. It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding, over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Folks, you show it, we'll feed it. Quality show feeds from Lowe's, Umbarger, Hunter at a great price, along with Sullivan Show products right here at Homestead Feed and Supply, 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Service Manager, Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need service, we're here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays from 6 to 8 and Saturdays from 7 to 5. We proudly offer a state-of-the-art facility with factory-trained technicians, clean waiting room, and service department. Loaner cars are available during service and free alignment checks with any service. Be sure to stop in and ask for our $39.95 oil change special. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, State Route 35, east of 675, between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
Need a U.S. passport? We can help. Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Visit one of our convenient auto title locations in Huber Heights, Clayton, downtown, Moraine, and Centerville. Make us your first destination before you travel abroad. No appointments ever needed. We do passports.com for more info.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you're looking for more out of your battery? We can help. If you're in need of higher performance, we'd go with Duralast Platinum. It's the best choice for premium power designed for your vehicle. And the line now includes EFB and AGM technology, which means we've got the right Duralast Platinum battery for you. And they're only available here at AutoZone. That's why we're America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2020.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
Do you have a home improvement project? Use the right tool for the job and rent from Arts Rental Equipment. Arts has the best selection from power washers and ladders to loaders and dump trailers. Work smart. Rent from Arts.
I'm CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger with a quick tip from H2O Wireless on stretching your budget and saving money every month. Start with your recurring monthly bills, and here's the easiest one, your cell phone bill. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile charge premium rates for unlimited data, when in all actuality, you have no need for that much data. H2O Wireless, on the other hand, is on the exact same network as one of those carriers, but charges you half. The average family of 4 is saving over $70 a month without having to sacrifice coverage. And listen to this, unlimited talk, text, and 15 gigs of data for just $36 per month. Switching is as easy as swapping out your SIM card. You can keep your phone and your phone number. Here's how to get the best deal. This month, dial pound 250 and say keyword get H2O. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say get H2O for this exclusive offer and start saving today.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
The Reds are on the radio.
Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. The show brought to you by Orion Sports Medicine. So you and I briefly talking during the break. How about Luke Kennard for the Clippers? Played a huge role with that. We'll talk about that coming up here in a moment. But I just realized that the Clippers wrapped up the first-round series last night. 2 weeks for a first-round series. And let's be clear. Actually, I want to pull this up. For all the matchups in the playoffs, outside of the Lakers, and that was more so due to injuries, every team won that was expected to win in the playoffs, right? I mean, it throws seeding out the window because I know the Knicks were the higher seed that lost, but like I think that was a fringe 4 seed anyways. I think that was a good regular season team.
I mean, yeah, they only won it by half a game.
So it's
either or, yeah.
But is it 7 games is too damn many? Now you said right before we cracked the mic, you said it's a good thing. 2 weeks for a series is ridiculous for a first round series at that.
Yeah, I mean,
we needed 2 weeks to see what we already figured was going to happen anyways. I know that there was the Clippers. If there's a 5-game series, the Clippers lose that.
Yeah.
But who's to say that Ty Lue doesn't make adjustments quicker earlier in the series? I think coaches let things pan out a little too long because hey, we have 7 games to figure this out. Technically 5 or 4 at the least to figure it out. So that's why I'm just like 7 is way too many for the first round. They need to go back to 5.
They need to go back to 5. I'm old enough to remember when it was 5
3.
games.
Wasn't it 3?
I'm not that old. I don't even know if it was, but I am old enough to remember the first time 8 beat a 1, and it was the Denver Nuggets beating the Seattle Supersonics. Seattle won the first 2 at home, then lost 2 at Denver. That was a team with Dikembe Mutombo and Robert Pack on it, and then they upset the Seattle Supersonics with Sean Kemp, Gary Payton in Seattle. And I remember, Sean Kemp coming down the lane trying to tie it up, and Dikembe blocked it, and he falls on the ground, holding the ball up and everything like that. And then what was another one? It was the Warriors beat the Mavericks. The year
that was Baron Davis.
Yeah. Who was else on that team?
On the Dirk team, that's when he won the MVP.
Yeah, that was the year he won the MVP.
The Baron Davis, Steven Jackson. Golden State Warriors, man.
The We Believe Warriors is what they call it.
But those atmospheres, that was unlike you saw in the NBA at that time. You didn't see an atmosphere like that when they would do the gold out. It was a college basketball atmosphere for those Golden State games.
Absolutely.
It was pretty cool. But we welcome you back. I want to get to some Facebook reaction real quick and YouTube. Again, we're live on Facebook, the Justin Kinner Show on YouTube, or on Facebook, and then ESPN Dayton on YouTube. Make sure you follow along on both of those and jump into the comment section. A lot of people right now are getting a couple things regarding the Cincinnati Reds, and I promise you we got some Red stuff coming up in a moment. Scott Campbell says how sweep it is. Let's go Reds. The Reds take 4 straight from the St. Louis Cardinals, not just against the Cardinals, but at St. Louis in a series heading into the weekend. I was like, this team could be dead and buried coming out of the weekend. And I said that late last week. I was not confident, but all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, they've won 4 straight at St. Louis. They've won 7 of their last 10. They're a game under 500. They're still 4 back in the division, but you got 3 with the Brewers, who are also ahead of you in the standings coming up. That series starts tomorrow. Big stretch for the Reds because they have the Brewers ahead of them in the standings coming up, but the Reds have won 7 of their last 10. They are rolling right now as we currently sit here. And then they got 3 at home with the Rockies. So all of a sudden, the Reds can turn this around. I think that the Reds can really make some noise right now. The Rockies 24-36. They're 13.5 back in their division. The Reds 4 back in theirs. I think that the Reds, they take 4 of 6 in this upcoming stretch against the Brewers and the Rockies. That's going to be interesting to see what they can pull off. But I promise we'll talk Reds coming up because I want to talk a little bit about Jesse Winker. Every time he makes a big play, every time he hits a home run, every time he has a 3 home run game, I'm starting to have flashbacks to when Trevor Bauer was having big game after big game after big game last year, and I'll explain that in a moment. But David M. on Facebook, I think it's David M. on YouTube, I'm sorry. Can we not all fall into the Reds fan trap of overhyping the St. Louis sweep and overlooking the cold hard truth that the bullpen showed yesterday? They're what will keep that team from real success. David, I don't think that anyone's overhyping the sweep. I think that in a 162-game season, anytime that something positive happens, you can't be that much of a negative Nancy to sit here and say, yeah, they won, but. Because if you're the, yeah, they won, but person, it's going to be a long summer for you. You're not wrong, though. Okay, I guess I'm correcting you, but telling you you're right all at the same time. Okay, David? So, David, here's the deal. I agree with everything you've just said about the bullpen's going to be what keeps them from achieving real success, but I don't think anyone looks at this Reds team as a World Series favorite. This team is losing games because of that bullpen. I think they're losing games because of how the game is managed at times, okay? But overall, this team is doing what I expected coming into the season. I said they were going to be about an 80 to 85 win team, which is in essence a 500 ball club. And they're playing 500 ball right now as a game under 500 as we hear, here in the early months of June or early weeks and days of June. So I know what you're saying, David. You could definitely be concerned, especially because the bullpen nearly lost him a game that I think they were up 5-0 yesterday early and then had to hold on for dear life to win an extra. So I'm with you. But Dave, you got to find a way to take the positives and run with those, because if you focus on the negative, it's going to be a long season for you. This team is not a World Series team, but they have enough to be dangerous, and it starts at the offensive end. They got good quality starting pitching against the Cardinals. Yes, the bullpen was bad. That's going to continue to be bad. But the big question I have is, and this is our Reds topic for the 4 o'clock hour, the trade deadline. That's going to make or break the Reds. It's either going to improve them or they're about to blow this whole thing up, and I can't get a pulse for what the front office wants to do. But we'll get into all that coming up in the next hour. David, I appreciate you chiming in and listening on YouTube. And for everyone out there, make sure you head to YouTube and you can let your opinion be heard as well, or on Facebook. ESPN Dayton on YouTube, The Justin Kidder Show on Facebook. All right, Kev, go ahead and bring us over under.
Kev Nash brings you over under.
All right, Kev, get us started on the over under NBA playoffs on the first one.
Absolutely, man. So Kawhi and the Clippers got past Luka and the Mavs in the Game 7 first round matchup. Next up for the Clippers, they have the number 1 seed, the Utah Jazz. Over or under that series going 6 games?
I have no idea. I don't know who the Clippers are. I know on paper that this is where I said the seedings are weird. The Utah Jazz have the 1 seed. They won the most games. I never really looked at Utah as the true number 1 seed because I still thought that the team that just lost in the playoffs to the Suns, I thought that they were the true 1 seed. This Clippers team, I think, should be seated above them if we're talking about overall talent of the roster. But again, didn't pan out that way from wins, losses. I actually like the Suns more than the Jazz, as crazy as that sounds, even though I think that the Jazz have proven to be more consistent over the years. This Suns team is relatively new. I know they're not playing. I'm going to say I think these teams are evenly matched in regards to talent, but I don't know how to break down this series because they're two totally different types of teams. Mm-hmm. They run through totally different positions on the floor. Paul George and Kawhi, of course, is the bread and butter to the Clippers' success. A lot more post-action, good guards too. I think Utah has a little bit more versatility. I could see Utah winning this and getting to the Western Conference Finals. That's going to be interesting how all this pans out, man. I'm really interested in this series. I think it's going to go under 6. I think that the Clippers still showed that they're vulnerable. Yes, they came back and beat Dallas. Dallas is not a very good team, and They took everything they could to beat the Mavericks. This is a much more polished Utah team that the margin for error for the Clippers is going to be slim. I like the adjustments Ty Lue made. I love seeing Luke Kennard get time. Never seen a dude average 20 minutes of playing time in the regular season and then get 0 minutes the first couple games of a playoff series. And it wasn't because of injuries or matchups. It was just strictly shrinking the playoff rosters, down. But since Luke Kennard's getting more minutes, and a couple players off that bench have got more minutes, Ty Lue approaching things different. They look like a different team. I'm still just not confident in them. I think that we need more Kawhi Leonard to be more consistent. I just don't think that happens. I think Utah gets to the Western Conference Finals.
I'm glad you touched on what Luke Kennard provided for the Clippers yesterday, especially he dropped 11 points, and also Terrence Mann off the bench dropped 13 points. So the Clippers bench outscored the Mavericks bench 27-6. If your bench is giving you 27 points, you should win the game. And you have Kawhi Leonard had an outstanding Game 6 and an outstanding Game 7. Paul George came to play as well for the Clippers. As for me, I'm going with the over. I'm saying this series is going to go 7 games. Saying it's going to go 7 games with the Utah Jazz. But the Utah Jazz will win this series because they have Rudy Gobert. So all those things that, Kawhi was doing, getting all the way to the rim and dunking on folks, and Paul George getting all the way in the lane, making crazy acrobatic layups. You have the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert. It's not gonna fly. They have one of the best defenses in the league, and also, I don't see the Utah Jazz going cold, like ice cold, like the Mavericks did yesterday from 3-point land. It's a cliche thing to say it's a make or miss league, but the Mavs were frigid from 3-point land. And then you're going up against the number 1 3-point shooting team in the league, and they got home court advantage. So I'm going to go with Utah Jazz to win this series in 7.
Yeah, of course, 3-point shooting is going to be the key to every series moving forward. And that's the one thing that the Mavericks cooled off on down the stretch, which allowed the Clippers to kind of prevail. Utah, just again, very balanced. Like I said, I know they're the 1 seed. They're the 1 seed for the reason. I think I picked other, I look at the Lakers and some others as better. The Lakers are out of it, injuries and everything else. But good for Utah to stay consistent even throughout this playoff run right now, because I just think they're more consistent right now, and that's going to be the big key as we head into that. Next up, Kev Nash brings you over under number 2.
Ooh, this is a good one. James Harden only played 43 seconds of game 1 due to a tight hamstring. Came out of that game very early. So in their second round matchup versus the Bucks, he's already officially out for game 2. So over or under 2 more games for James Harden play in this series?
I know I'm skipping a step here. My answer is dependent on the result of tonight. The Nets or Milwaukee is a 1-point favorite on the road tonight at the Nets. The Nets without James Harden. The Nets are the poster boy example of load management. And sometimes it's not even load management. It's just players mentally taking nights off, physically taking nights off, and everything like that. The Nets have gotten away with it. The Nets, without James Harden, beat Milwaukee in game 1. Now, luckily, lucky for them, they are at home. I just think that they did load management in the regular season. They're going to continue with load management in the playoffs because they're talented enough to do it. This is going to be one of the most disliked teams in the history of the NBA because they're going to do everything to the point where Kyrie's not very likable. Kevin Durant's not likable. James Harden's super talented, but at times I just think he's a polarizing player because you want to like him, but he's not a very likable player. These are 3 of the most disliked superstars in the NBA, all on one team, all missing games left and right, continuing to dominate and destroy and blow out teams. And they're doing it all with no team chemistry. They've barely played together. All 3 of them have barely. I don't even think they've even played a half a season together total.
No,
it's not even 20 games.
No, it's only like 12 games.
It was coming into the playoffs.
It's 8 games and then the playoffs.
4 in the playoffs. So this team, they have no business winning games. They have no business playing well, and they keep doing it, and it's irritating people. So I think they win tonight. I don't think you see James Harden in game 3, even if he's close to being okay. And then if they win that, I don't think you see him at all. I'm going to say under. I think you might see him one more if Milwaukee gets a win tonight, then I think you might see him sooner rather than later. But I'm going to say under. This Nets team is too dang good, and it ticks me off because I really wanted LeBron and the Lakers versus this Nets team in the finals. It might be LA versus the Nets in the finals. It just might be the Clippers at that point. Who knows? But I'm going to say under. I just don't think there's any hurry to get James Harden back. When you got Kyrie and Kevin Durant playing at the level that they are, Milwaukee's good, but damn, I liked Milwaukee's chances with all 3 of them on the floor at the same time. But how demoralizing is that for Milwaukee when you couldn't get a win in a game against James Harden's Nets without him? Man, that's tough. I just think under. There's no rush to get him back as long as the series stays in their favor.
Right. You know who else wanted to see the Lakers and the Nets in the finals? Adam Silver.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with the under as well because I'm with you. I think that the Bucks are gonna win tonight. But that's not going to force the Nets' hand. That's not going to force their hand to push James Harden out there to play. He missed 18 games during the regular season with the hamstring situation. So he's not going to test it until they're down 2-1.
Yep.
So I'm going to say under as well. I still got this thing going 7 games with the Bucks winning, but I'm going to go with the under because I think it's going to go back and forth. I think we're going to get a situation where, James Harden plays a game, goes out there, plays well, and then in the very next game, he isn't able to go. So I'm going to go with the under for James Harden playing 2 games.
All right, Kev Nash brings you over under onto number 3.
Ooh, Julio Jones has officially been traded to the Tennessee Titans. So over or under 10.5 wins for the Tennessee Titans.
So they won 11 games. I mistakenly said they didn't make the playoffs last year. They did make the playoffs. They won 11 games last year. They won the division, and they're only going to get, this has made them better. Defensively, they slightly improved. They added some new weapons. We'll see. This team clearly isn't as good defensively as what they were 2 years ago when they made that deep run into the playoffs, knocking out the Patriots. Tom Brady's last game ever as a New England Patriot was against this Titans team. His last pass attempt ever with the Patriots was a pick 6 against the Titans. That was the last time this team was significant. That was the last time that the Titans were significant defensively. That's not the case now. But the Titans last year went 11-5 with that bad defense, with this offense without Julio Jones. And there's one additional game this year. Right. And the Texans are worse. The Jacksonville Jaguars, sure, they were 1-15 a year ago, but they've added Trevor Lawrence. They're slightly better, but rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, rebuilding Jaguars team. That's 4 wins right there. All right. I think they split with the Colts. There's 5 wins within your division, and then they have a very favorable out of division schedule as well. I'm looking at the Titans right now. I'm going to definitely take the over. They're playing one additional game this year. That's one more chance to get a win. You're better and more explosive offensively. The only thing that I would think would set this team back, Kev, is if Derrick Henry's going to hit a wall eventually. Right. We've never seen a running back in modern football right now string together 3 to 4 dominant seasons. He's had 2 or 3 now.
Yeah, I think it's back-to-back years with 2000, right?
It's not. If he could pull, if that's the Derrick Henry, then yes, this team's definitely going to win more, especially with Julio Jones. But I could see a regression here, as if Derrick Henry, the wear and tear on his body takes a toll, and he's banged up and misses some games. If Julio Jones at his age misses some games, I could see a scenario where they maybe win less. But right now, I'm taking injuries out of it. I'm just looking at what's on the field right now. Winning more. I'm going to take the over. I think they win about 12 to 13 games next year, and they win the division.
I'm going with the over as well. Like you said, it's an extra game this season. I think they're going to be right at 11 wins again. I just don't think that this addition of Julio Jones just magically makes them oh man, now they're going to win 13 games. Like I was talking about earlier, they only moved them up a half a win with the addition of Julio Jones. I don't think necessarily the player that they needed or the issue that they had was offensively. They were a very good offensive team last year. It was the defense, and I don't think there's a defensive player out there on the free agent market or trade market that's going to magically turn around your team. It's going to be a collective effort from everything that they did in free agency and in the draft to see how their defense is going to be playing this year. So I got them going over, but 11 wins. So it's only about 1.
But then I said they have a favorable out of division schedule, but it's not that favorable. Okay. I said that they win 5 in the division. I think they take both from Jacksonville. I think they take both from the Texans. I think they split with the Colts. That's 5 wins right there. But right now you got the 49ers, you got the Dolphins, you got the Steelers, you're at the Patriots, Kev. You got the Saints, you're at the Rams, you got the Chiefs, you got the Bills. The Jets, that's a win right there. So you're at 6 wins. And the Cardinals is a winnable game. I'm guaranteeing at least 7. I don't know. I might retract. I might say under. I'm a revert. As I'm looking at this now, I'm gonna say under. That schedule is brutal. You got Pittsburgh. You have the Bills. You're at the Rams. You have the Saints. You're at the Patriots. You're at you got the 49ers. That's brutal, Kev. That's brutal. Man,
it's the NFL.
I'm going to say I'm reverting back. I'm taking the under. I'm changing my mind. It's the under. It doesn't mean that I think they're a bad team. I just think that there's no guaranteed wins at all in the NFL. But again, when you're projecting, I don't know if the Titans, I don't think this Julio Jones deal makes them better than the Niners. I don't know if it makes them better than, I think they're better than the Steelers on paper, but we got to see what Steelers, how they piece it together. I'm not taking them over the Patriots. The Saints, I know there's no more Drew Brees, but they're still dangerous. And then you're at the Rams and you got the Chiefs and the Bills, Woofa, at Seattle, and the Cardinals with Kyler Murray. Look out, man. This is going to be a tough season for the Titans. I'm taking the under. I'm changing my mind in mid-conversation, under 11.5 wins.
Fair enough. All right, number 4, after Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul's boxing match last night, over or under 3 more times we'll see the Paul brothers in the ring.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's nothing broken about this. I know some people don't like it, that it's infringing on the history of boxing. You have a guy, a YouTube sensation, a YouTuber who was anointed the opportunity to step in a ring with one of the best of all time in Floyd Money Mayweather. I know Stephen A. Smith does not like that. I understand where he's coming from, because if you're a fan of the history of boxing, this just isn't right. You don't see this. There's a lot of names that deserve to step in a ring with Floyd Mayweather before a guy like him. But that's not you think HBO and you think Showtime and you think that these big networks care about what's right or fair in the world of boxing. They just care about what's going to make them money. And the Paul brothers, whether you like them or love them, they hate, or they draw money. Mm-hmm. You may love or hate them, but they draw money. I think over. I think that these guys are going to continue to do this. You're going to continue to see them to step in the ring. Maybe not always with historic boxers, but you're going to see them step in the ring with big-time superstars, whether it be actual boxers or other YouTuber sensations like that. I just think it's all about the draw. This was a draw. I will say that my patience is running thin. I can't continue to watch these that they end in draws. They'll continue because people are going to still tune in, but I was pissed last night when that ended in a draw, because I'm like, come on. Stop. I know it doesn't count against their record or anything like that, but I'm not going to keep tuning in. The Mike Tyson fight ended in a draw. That irritated me. This ended in a draw. That irritated me. My patience is running thin. If the next couple of these fights, whether it's the Paul brothers or not, end in a draw, I'm just not tuning into these anymore. It's just not worth my time. But it looked cool. The buildup was cool, and we talked about it.
Cool.
Yeah,
the buildup was great. I'm going to go with the over as well, just because it's two of them. But I'm with you. At some point, this is all going to pop. This whole thing is going to pop. It's going to blow up in everybody's face. They're going to try to do a big match and nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to tune in, because if it is ending in draws, if it is ending with a whole bunch of clutching and really no punches thrown, look, man, fighting is primal. People tune in to see people get knocked out. Let's be real about it, man. Like, so if nobody's getting knocked out, nobody's getting hit for real, nobody really wants to watch. So at some point, it is going to lose its appeal. So I'm going to go with the over, just because it's two brothers. So they'll each get, a couple more opportunities to jump into the ring and people to tune in. But if it continues to end like this and continues to be a boring fight and continue to leave people upset after spending their hard-earned money on a fight that really wasn't a fight, people will just tune out and be on to the next thing, man.
All right, next up on our over-under.
Oh, yeah, number 5, the Reds swept the Cardinals on a 4-game road streak. First time since 1990. That's a very long time. 1990.
They won the World Series that year.
Goodness gracious.
I don't think that's happening this year, but they did win the World Series. That's a fact.
So right now, the Reds are currently 1 game under 500. They look to keep the momentum tomorrow night on a 3-game series versus the Brewers. So over or under 1 win versus the Brewers tomorrow, starting at Great America Ballpark.
My heart is saying that over. They're going to take 2 or 3 from the Brewers, or maybe sweep the Brewers. I mean, look, anyone out there that thought that the Reds were going to take 4 straight on the road at St. Louis, that's just mind-boggling to me. But this Reds team all season, they have never once capitalized on any momentum that they've been able to build. They were not able to build on the momentum of taking 2 or 3 from the Cardinals to start the season. They have not been able to build on anytime they've had success against the Cubs. Excuse me, the Cubs, the Cardinals, or anybody. And they have not been able to capitalize on it. This is a huge opportunity. They've won 7 of the last 10. They've won 4 straight, coming off of a road sweep at the Cardinals in 4. You got the Brewers and the Rockies coming up. I'm going to say, I'm fearing this. I'm going to say under. They're going to get swept at home against the Brewers, Kev, because it's typical Reds. That's what they do. They get all the stat nerd David Bell defenders on Twitter to see, and you all question David Bell's management to this team. Shut up. They win 4 straight, and now all of a sudden they're winning a World Series. No, the tail of the tape is that this team has been very, very inconsistent, and I've said it from the beginning. They're going to win some and lose some. I know that sounds very simple and basic, and that's good stuff. You can only hear that here at 1410 ESPN Radio, by the way. They're a 500 ball club. They're going to continue to win games that they shouldn't. They're going to lose games they shouldn't. Overall, they're going to be about a 79, 80 to 82 3-win team when it's all said and done. I think that in typical Reds fashion, they return home where they've actually struggled at times this year, and they're going to lose. They're going to lose all 3 games to the Brewers, and then they'll take 2 or 3 from the Rockies to make all the stat nerds say, see, I told you David Bell knows what he's doing. Relax, people. This team's doing what they should, winning some, losing some. I just think it's time to lose some now. They've won 7 of the last 10. They got to stay on brand and lose some, right?
I got them winning. I got it over. They're going to win 2 games, but the thing is, they're going to lose tomorrow. The win streak's going to come to an end tomorrow, and then they'll win.
And then take the last 2.
That's what.
I'm always amazed by the psychology of these series. That's the thing. Scott Campbell, by the way, he goes, talk negative about the Reds, Justin, and they'll do the opposite. Yes, that's basically been the gist of the whole season.
When's that vacation coming up?
No, not till September, which is actually good. You want to set yourself up for that September run heading into the playoffs. I'll be off for a while in September, so I know everyone loves that. By the way, all right. Then last but not least, Kev Nash brings you over under number 6.
Oh man, Nick Saban has agreed to contract extension with Alabama, keeping them with the program through the 2028 season. The Buckeyes are scheduled to take on the Crimson Tide in a home-and-home series starting in 2027. So over or under Nick Saban being on the sidelines for one of those matchups?
I'm gonna say under.
He running. Nick Saban's running for the Buckeyes.
When coaches do these contract extensions are about as useless as these contracts for teams to play each other. Like, they are done so far out in advance. Look, this was a good business decision by Nick Saban in Alabama. This is done for purposes of Nick Saban's getting up there in age, every year now we're going to start bringing up, is this Saban's last year? Is he done? Is he done? This long-term extension was done from a business perspective to give the reassurance to future commits that, oh man, my dude's going to be there a while. He's going to be there a little bit longer. Oh, man, I'm looking to get to the NFL. I just got to play 3 years in the league. So for these next couple of classes, Alabama's going to just continue to rake. They're going to continue to just, top class after top class. Bottom line is, I'm going to say the under. So the Buckeyes in Ohio State and Alabama signed a home-and-home series starting in 27. Ohio State will host the 27 game. In 28, it'll be played at Alabama. I'm going to take the under. I don't think Nick Saban's almost going to be 80 by that time.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening. I think this was done strictly for recruiting purposes, to give that peace of mind and that reassurance to the recruits being talked to on the recruiting trail right now. Because remember a few years ago, it was Jackson Carman, Cincinnati Bengal offensive line savior, right? Joe Burrow's going to get sacked -5 times this year because of Jackson Carman, because, Mike Brown sees things we don't. But anyways, where was I going with that? See, I got distracted by my shot at the Bengals. I can't, I'm not professional at all. Bottom line is, so with Jackson Carman's recruit to Ohio State, remember Dabo Swinney said, hey, we're here and Urban Meyer's not going to be around much longer. We don't know if that's the actual talking point that got Jackson Carman to pick Clemson over Ohio State, but that goes through the minds of these players. If I go to Ohio State, it has to be to play for Urban Meyer. At that time, that was the mindset. And that's the same thing with Alabama as we embark on this stretch for Nick Saban. If I go to Bama, it has to be that I'm playing for Nick Saban. This is just a peace of mind, reassurance thing for these future recruits. Hey, Saban, it's only 2021. He's going to be here for at least 6-7 more years. We're at least going to get a full recruiting cycle out of you guys. So go ahead, sign on the dotted line. We good. I just don't see it. He's almost going to be 80 by that time. I think like 77, 78 in that ballpark. I don't see Nick Saban. He probably has 1 or 2 more national championships. I think he wins 1 or 2 more. There's nothing else to prove. There's nothing else to prove now. I just don't see him being the head coach when Ohio State and Alabama match up in 2027.
I'm going to go with the under as well. Nick Saban will be 76 when the series kicks off in 2027.
Oh, so I was off. So 76?
76.
Yeah, that's old for football.
Yeah. And I mean, when you have as much money as Nick Saban, like, you want to enjoy some of that money. You want to enjoy your family and everything like that. We see the same thing happen with Coach K and everything like that. But if there's one guy that will stick around that long, it is him. It is him. So even me thinking that makes me want to change a lot like you did mid-sentence.
I mean, yeah.
Over. He's going to stay. He's a legend, dude. He statues while he's still playing, still coaching everything. I'm going with the over. He's going to coach till he's 80, man. Why not?
Keep in mind.
Go for it.
So I'm taking the under, but the second mindset that I have with this is, and I'm sticking to my guns here, I don't think he coaches when Ohio State and Alabama kick off at the shoe in 27. I don't think that Nick Saban's the guy. I don't think he's the head coach at Alabama anymore. I just think this was done to reassure recruits that he's going to be here a while, and then we all know things happen, and then they'll do what Duke just did. Look, don't act like Duke and Mike Krzyzewski retiring did not play a role in this. Don't act like that didn't play a role in this, because Nick Saban is the Mike Krzyzewski of college football, the face of college football. And I think that this was done to, oh man, Coach K is retiring. That's about the same age roughly that Nick Saban is. This is just done as a reassurance to get recruits to relax. I have a long-term commitment to this program. Still, I'm not going anywhere. But that 2028 season, coincidentally, it's Ohio State at Alabama. Can you imagine a scenario where Nick Saban's final season is beating Ohio State at Alabama and winning a national championship and then hanging it up? All I'm saying is, I'm still saying he doesn't coach at all against Ohio State in 27 or 28. But if he does, it does line up perfectly for him to call it a career after 28.
Bad juju, man. Bad juju. You saying that, man?
Talking into existence.
No.
Not that I want to know. Yeah, but this, the storyline of that, and that, my friends, Kev Nash brings you over under. Hour 2 next. It's the Justin Kidder Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
DIY means sawdust, work gloves, and the right tools. But at the Home Depot, the right tools means more than hammers and saws. It means a mobile app with built-in image search. That's a tool. Access an entire rental department with a swipe. That's another tool. For any project, start to finish, this isn't just DIY. This is doing like never before. This is the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Download our mobile app to get started.
It's so on. The SiriusXM Listen Free event is happening now. Just press the Sat button in your car to hear over 100 channels, including ad-free music of every kind, plus sports play-by-play and talk and news for everyone. Enjoy even more free when you download the SXM app. Hear expertly curated podcasts, ad-free extra channels of music for any mood, SiriusXM video, and the ability to create your own Pandora music stations. Don't miss out. Listen free now.
It's like I blinked and suddenly all my business shifted to e-commerce.
Now my business hours are whenever my customers need me.
My customers want everything now and faster than ever. It's a whole different world.
Your business is changing. The United States Postal Service is changing with it. We're bringing you fast, reliable shipping nationwide, and we're bringing it right when your customers need it. Let's discover new routes. Visit USPS.com/new routes. The United States Postal Service. Priority, you.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
O'Reilly. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power and capacity your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence with Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you have foot pain? Foot pain is not normal regardless of your age or job. Podiatric physicians are the most qualified doctors to care for your feet and can provide important foot care solutions or shoe inserts to better manage foot pain. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality foot and ankle care. We've been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. To find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Because it's my vision, I take the most studied eye vitamin brand.
Because it's my vision, I take the eye vitamin brand backed by 20 years of research.
Because it's my vision, I take PreserVision.
Age-related macular degeneration is the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 60. That's why the National Eye Institute did 20 years of clinical studies on the formula that's found in PreserVision. From the eye experts at Bausch & Lomb, PreserVision AREDS 2 formula eye vitamins contain the exact nutrient formula recommended by the National Eye Institute to help reduce the risk of moderate to advanced AMD progression.
Because it's my vision, I made a plan with my doctor that includes PreserVision. Find PreserVision in the vitamin aisle. Available at Walmart.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Have you been seeking a final resting place for your loved one's cremated remains? Are you tired of endlessly searching to find a permanent home for a family member that gives you peace of mind, offers more security than the mantle, and doesn't cost thousands of dollars? This is Mark Davis from Dayton Memorial Park Cemetery, located at 8135 North Dixie Drive. We are pleased to announce a new product that offers families the opportunity to give their loved ones a permanent, serene, final resting place for as little as $300. Call us today at 937-890-1831.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Pick it up, guys. Pick it up.
At Bowles Builders, demand is through the roof. To keep up, his business needs a stronger foundation.
Cut this all right? Just one sec. Bowles Builders, this is Bow. This weekend? Yeah, we can do it.
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. General purpose concrete mix is great for sidewalks, steps, patios, and setting posts. Simply add water, mix, and pour. Starting today, all bags of concrete are 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through June 12th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Get 5-star tools for your 5-star dad with battery power made by Steel. From mowers and blowers to trimmers and more, with the AK Homeowner Series starting at $199.99, Dad can get the work done quickly and make more time for what really matters. Shop online at steelusa.com/gift guide. Pick up at over 10,000 local Steel dealers. All prices MSRP, includes battery and charger, are available at participating dealers. Dad doesn't quit until the job is done. So get him gas-powered tools from Steel that can keep up with him. From chainsaws and trimmers to blowers and more, Steel has the tools Dad needs. With legendary Steel gas-powered equipment starting at $139.99. Shop online at steelusa.com/gift guide. Pick up at over 10,000 local Steel dealers. All prices MSRP, available at participating dealers.
O'Reilly.
Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get up to a $15 gift card after mail-in rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries. With the power and capacity your vehicle demands, Superstart batteries are designed for lasting performance and consistent starts. Turn the key with confidence with Superstart batteries only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
All that online activity can mean exposing your personal information. In fact, 64% of adults admit to risking online privacy for convenience. And there's a victim of identity theft every 3 seconds. No one can prevent all cybercrime or identity theft, but you can help keep your digital life safe with Norton 360 with LifeLock. This week only is the Better Than Black Friday sale. Save up to 45% off your first year at norton.com/join. Sale ends June 13th.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers.
All right, everybody, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on a Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Look at the sun's out. I have a tea time tonight once again. I did when last week. I said, was it Friday? Thursday. I did get the full round in, by the way. I was a little wet though.
Yeah, no more rain. That was it, according to my phone, at least.
So expect a few pop-up showers for the rest of the night then, as far as that goes. But we just wrapped up Over-Under with Kev Nash, of course, and we covered a lot of different, we ranged from between boxing, between Major League Baseball, between the NFL, between, the NBA playoffs right now. But the last one we touched on was Nick Saban in Alabama. Of course, it was big news out of college football today. I still think that it's not a coincidence that not even a few days after Mike Krzyzewski announces, and I know that's college basketball, that he is going to coach one more year before retiring. That's a college sports story as a whole. That's just not college basketball, because when you think of the legends in the history of coaching in college athletics in general, Mike Krzyzewski's right up there, Nick Saban's right up there as well. And I think a lot of attention. I think Alabama, this was being done. I think for one, you're always in talks with Nick Saban to extend a contract. I don't think you want him going anywhere for obvious reasons. But I think that because of Coach K announcing that and all the attention there, and you start thinking about, oh man, what do we do post Krzyzewski? And they had a plan in place, and Shire's going to be the coach in waiting and everything like that. Alabama, there's been rumblings of that was kind of the talk then. Kev, those talks, I'm not saying you don't talk about them 5-6 years in advance, but there's been so many leaks about Steve Sarkisian was going to be the coach in waiting at Alabama, that Lane Kiffin was going to be the coach in waiting at Alabama. Those things aren't getting out if they're not being talked about, and they're only being talked about if that's something that's going to be a plan that's going to be with the wheels in motion within the immediate future. That's why I also do not think that by the time Ohio State and Alabama kick off that home-and-home series going all the way up to 27 and 28, I know he signed his extension through the 28 season. I just don't see him being the head coach of the Crimson Tide at that point. That's not a shot at Alabama or him. He's an older dude who's won a ton of championships, who has really nothing left to prove. I think he's going to go as long as his health allows him to. That's the case for any age coach, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I don't think there was no rumblings out of Duke of what the succession plan was going to look like post Krzyzewski until recently. And what ends up happening, and that was within the last couple of years. And look what happens. I just think that because we've been hearing that about Nick Saban, I think that he has 2, maybe 3 years left. I just don't see any chance in hell that he's the head coach of the Crimson Tide come 27. And here's the deal, because I'm obsessed with coaches in college athletics. I hope I'm wrong, because I tune in for those coaching matchups. I hate that Urban is out of the college game. I love those, those coaching matchups. I love back in the day. Again, not proving what went on at Penn State, but when you look at the Joe Pot days and you look at Florida State with Bowden and you look at those legendary coaches, those are great for college athletics. It's great in football, great in basketball. Because ultimately, yes, you tune in for the stars on the field, but man, it just feels different. When Ohio State and Alabama met in the national championship game, I love Ryan Day, but let's not kid ourselves. Urban Meyer against Nick Saban, Ohio State against Alabama, that just feels bigger. That just feels more special. No offense to Ryan Day, but he doesn't have the clout yet to put his name up there yet. Nick Saban against Urban Meyer in the national championship game, that would have been even bigger than what was already two of the biggest programs in college football history in Alabama and Ohio State. So I'm going to hate to see him go. I just don't see him going longer than 2 years. You're already hearing rumblings of who's next.
Right.
They're not talking about that for 5 or 6 years from now. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, the coach and waiting thing. I remember Will Muschamp was the coach and waiting at Texas under Matt Brown, and he's coached at Florida, coached at South Carolina, you know what I'm saying? So, that coach and waiting thing just never pans out. I think Jimbo Fisher is the only guy that I could really think of that he was a coach and waiting, and he actually became the head coach at the place that he was the coach and waiting at Florida State. But for Nick Saban, here's the argument for him sticking around. He's still intense. He still has that desire to win. Even after they win national championships, even those press conferences, he's congratulating his players. We did such a great job. I'm proud of these guys. But also he's recruiting right then and there. He's thinking about the next signing class. So if it's anybody out there that could stick around until they're 80 years old and still be coaching and have all their faculties and everything like that, not just be a figurehead on the sideline holding a clipboard or something like that, it's him, because he's been rumored to retire for so many years. Obviously, when he came back to college football after his stint in the NFL with the Dolphins, everything panned out. Everything worked magically, and he's still here. And you think about how long ago that was. That's a long time ago. I remember Nick Saban coaching at Michigan State. He was the head coach at Michigan State on the team that beat Joe Germain. And then Ohio State went on to win the Rose Bowl versus Arizona State. He was coaching back then. That's a long time ago. And to think that he's still coaching now and coaching even better than he did then, won a championship at LSU.
Is adapted. Like what we talked about with Coach K last week, is so not stuck in his ways.
Yeah, so if it's anybody out there, if it's any coach out there that will stick around till they're dang near 80 years old, it's Nick Saban.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, because someone messaged in saying, well, how come Nick Saban, who's to say that the evolving the transfer portal, who's to say that won't push Saban up? That doesn't impact Nick Saban like it does Mike Krzyzewski at Duke in basketball. Like, basketball is the sport that is being decimated by the transfer portal. Football, not so much. I think that the football powers that be, those are the landing spots that the players trust the coaches and they trust everything. I'm not saying that basketball, they don't trust Coach K, but there's only 5 spots on the floor for basketball. There's a ton of opportunity. There's more opportunity in football for you to get time. You're going to trust the process more in football than you are in basketball when you only have one. I mean, that's the other deal too. In college football, you have to wait the long haul. You have 3 years before you go to the NFL. College basketball, it's 1 year. They're trying to microwave everything. They're trying to, I don't want to go sit for a year when I can go play for a year, maybe get to the NBA in 2 years, as opposed to go sit 1 year, get limited time the second year, and then after the third year, get to the NBA. That's 3 years where I can have a career-ending injury. That's really what it comes down to. So I appreciate that, Matt, for messaging that in, but I don't think that the transfer portal, I don't think it has even close to the same effect on the powers that be in college football like it does in college basketball. Not even close.
I'm with you, especially for Alabama, and I mean, think about it, football, there's
that's
11
what they're transferring
guys.
to.
Yeah, right. There's 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, but the only position that you see up for a lot of transfer portal action is the quarterback. And then that's only if you're real good, because if you're a wide receiver, you're in that rotation. You may not be the starter right away, but all right, man, you're getting a couple snaps here and there. And that's really all you can really ask for, especially as you're coming in freshman, to get some snaps, get some reps, actually play during the game and everything like that. And like you said, I think guys are more willing to wait their time because, there aren't guys that can come from high school and go to the pros in the NFL. They just don't make them like that. Who? Adrian Peterson, Herschel Walker, Bo Jackson, name somebody else. I'll wait. But there's plenty of guys that you think like, oh man, they took their cup of coffee at college because they had to. Yep. Because Zion could have played in the NBA the day after he graduated from high school, but he had to go
or
to college.
Tight end in the NFL or basically any job he wanted.
Exactly. So, guys are willing to, pay the cost to go to college and everything like that to get themselves ready for the pros and everything like that. I really don't think that the transfer portal is going to be that big of a situation like it is in men's basketball.
All right. So again, we talked about Ohio State, Alabama. They signed that home and home. That was news about a year ago, I guess less than a year ago. It was in the summer of last year when that came out about Ohio State and Alabama agreeing to a home and home series starting in 2027. Ohio State will welcome in Alabama in the first of the 2 games in 2027. Ohio State will play at Alabama in 2028. Here are some of the big matchups that Ohio State has coming up in the meantime. Okay. They do have Oregon coming to the shoe this year. These are some of their non-conference matchups. Some of these names aren't sexy, but I'm just giving you a list of some of the upcoming series in the non-conference that Ohio State has. They have Oregon in 2021. This was supposed to be the return game. Of course, Ohio State ended up not playing at Oregon last year in what was supposed to be a home and home between both programs due to COVID and due to both programs going conference only. But Ohio State and Oregon in 2021, they'll also have Tulsa and Akron this coming up season, Kev. In 22, this is where it gets interesting. They start a home and home series with Notre Dame. So again, they do these home and homes with one premier program, home and away, and then they start the next series. So This is supposed to be the wrap up this upcoming season of that Oregon series. Then they welcome in. So they have Oregon at the shoe in 21, and then they have Notre Dame at the shoe in 22. That's huge because whether it's Jack Miller or CJ Stroud or Jackie or the Ewers kid, Quinn Ewers, not Jack Ewers, Quinn Ewers from Texas, the number 1 prospect in the 22 class. That's going to be huge. They also have Arkansas State and Toledo, which whatever. I mean, you expect those, but obviously the headliner being Notre Dame. How about that? Big games at the shoe and back-to-back
like the
years.
show is going on the road, baby.
And it sounds like another noon freaking kickoff. I mean, my goodness, I hate the noon kickoff, man. I don't mind every once in a while, but every time Ohio State play, so you mean to tell me every time, and then watch the at Notre Dame game and that'll be in prime time because NBC will have that, or NBC might have both of these. How does that work?
I was just about to ask you that.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know. I have no idea.
2 night games, baby. Notre Dame under the lights. Prime time as it should be.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Who will get that though? NBC's going to have it.
NBC's going to definitely have the home game for Notre Dame, but I don't know how that works with the Big Ten and
a noon kickoff.
I don't know, but I tell you this, I'll be at Ohio State at Notre Dame. My brother went to Notre Dame game once. He said it was
unreal.
Legit.
This is what legit. And so let me ask you, because you said you're fine with noon kickoffs,
yes.
but if you had to choose, if Gene Smith said, "Hey Kev, what up? Ohio State, Notre Dame, we'll let you pick the kickoff time, and we're going to see how much of a hypocrite you are."
No, I don't work for Fox.
Play the game, Kevin.
I'm a fan.
That's how it works.
I'm a fan.
Okay, noon kick or under the lights?
Under the lights.
Coward.
Under the lights.
Hypocrite.
Under the lights. Now, if I worked for Fox, I'd be like, noon kick for every Ohio State game. You losers watch them all the way up until when they're winning 56 to nothing.
Don't call our listeners losers. Have I ever called anyone names on this show? No.
Do you watch the game all the way through when it's like blowout city?
No, I do not. I watch the first quarter and then I'm done. I remember, and look, I mean, I watched the first quarter and then I'm done, and then I'll tune into the fourth quarter just to kind of see. Like last year, I was looking forward to getting to see C.J. Strider, Jack Miller. We didn't get to see any of them cats last year. I was disappointed. Those games, some of those were bad, but again, we're talking about Ohio State playing bad last year. Bad is a different category for Ohio State because of how good they usually are. But I was bummed we didn't get to see Stroud or Miller last year. I was pretty pumped because I thought that was going to be the opportunity to see the future at quarterback for Ohio State. We were privy to that with Dwayne Haskins. I mean, there was a reason that when Dwayne Haskins beat out Joe Burrow for the starting quarterback job, I was jacked, and so was everybody else, because we got a chance to see how different the offense looked with Dwayne Haskins out on the field when he went down that year and when he took over. So that's we didn't get that last year. That's why this year's so up in the air as far as the mystery is concerned about what this offense is going to look like with a new quarterback. No Justin Fields, obviously, now with the Bears in the NFL. So Ohio State has Notre Dame at the shoe in 2022, Arkansas State and Toledo in 23. Kev, San Jose State, and then at Notre Dame in 2023. In 2024, they're at Washington. So enjoy these next 2 years of having these primetime big non-conference matchups, because you have the Oregon at the shoe this coming up year, and then Notre Dame in 22. But 23 and 24, Ohio State will be at Notre Dame and at Washington. Those are going to be their premier, out-of-conference matchups. But 2025 gets interesting. That Washington series is a one-off. They're only going to – I don't think that happens. Kev, they're going to play – oh, wait, this is interesting. So they play at Washington in 24, but in 25 – they play Washington at the shoe. They also play Texas at the shoe and UConn at the shoe. Ooh. What are the chances Texas and Washington is both played, assuming that Washington, is good at that time? You mean Ohio State's going to play Texas and Washington? That's two big-ass games at the shoe.
I'm all for it.
I'm all for it too, but the chances of it happening are what, in your opinion? Because you just don't see that. You don't see that many big non-conference games for Ohio State. That hasn't been the history of the program, which, not saying they won't do it, but I think when they added that Texas series, it was they had to. Washington, but I think that they'll keep it. You know why, Kev? Because they're both home games. It's the following year when in 26, when Ohio State has Ball State, and then they have Boston College at home, but they're at Texas. That's another tough non-conference. In regards to Boston College, you're going to be favored to win that easily, but that's still tougher than your Ball State or your Miami of Ohio or your, Bowling Green type of game.
Man, I hope it happens. I hope they keep Texas and Washington on the schedule, especially at home. Look, man, let's be real, man. Ohio State is just so good that a lot of these matchups that they have, we're fooling ourselves half the time. Especially the home games. Like, they just don't lose at home unless it's a big-time opponent. And to have a Texas coming to the shoe, have a Washington coming to the shoe, that's what you want. That's what your fans want. That's what they're paying all that money for. Not only the season ticket holders, but the people that are paying on the aftermarket. They're paying a lot of money. Of course, we want to see the Buckeyes win all their games and everything like that. But, come on, man. I'm not, I try to respect all the opponents and everything like that. But, there's a difference between paying $150 for tickets to watch them beat up on Toledo versus paying $300 to see, oh, man, we could possibly lose to Texas. Where would you rather spend your money? Something that is going to happen, or something that's going to excite you, that gets the fan base really crazy? So, I'm all with teams scheduling more non-conference games, man. I'm with the Texases. I'm with the Washington games. I'm with all that, man, because let's just keep it real, man. This is starting to transition closer and closer to the NFL. This is what it's starting to transition to. So you having one loss on your resume isn't going to keep you out as long as you handle your business during your conference schedule. So I want them to do this. I want them to keep the Texas and Washington game on there because I'm going to go to one of them.
Well, here's the deal, and this is why I give Ohio State a lot of credit here. And, look, I'm not a homer when it comes to Ohio State. Some like that, some don't. But the reason I give Ohio State a ton of credit here, and I'm even going to give credit to Alabama and that's the other thing, too. The other reason Nick Saban is not going to be the coach of Alabama. Nick Saban does not do home and homes.
Right.
This is done. Like, there's a reason that this series was done so far in the future is because the athletic director is in charge of probably making the schedule for that far out in the future. Nick Saban's taking care of the schedule right now. And what does Nick Saban do? Nick Saban does the neutral site games. That's another reason Ohio State and Alabama, when they play, Nick Saban will not be the coach on the sidelines. Again, I don't hate Nick Saban. He's one of my favorite coaches of all time out there in college athletics. That's just another thing. That was one of my bullet points I forgot to put in my rundown for our over-under today, Kev. That's the other thing, too. Why Nick Saban, a tiger doesn't change his stripes, right? I know he's not LSU anymore, but I don't know what elephants do or what a tide does or whatever the hell they do. So with that being said, why all of a sudden now out of nowhere would Nick Saban just say, hey, let's go play at Ohio State? Why? Why would he do that out of nowhere? That, to me, shows right there that the extension of Nick Saban at Alabama was done strictly for recruiting purposes. There's no way in hell he's the head coach of Alabama when they play at Ohio State when that time comes. Sorry, my ADD took over. I reverted back to our old conversation to start. But you know what I'm saying? That's the other talking point that I forgot to mention earlier.
No problem. So I'm looking back, and I could be wrong, but I think the last time that Alabama went on the road to Penn State, but
in the early 2000s. Was that before Nick Saban got there, or it was a previous contract? He took over Alabama, and I think they already had a contract in place with Penn State, and I think that's what it was.
2011, Penn State. They went to Penn State and they won 27-11.
Yep.
So that's the last one I can find. That one popped in my mind, but I really can't remember an actual home and home series that they've done. Like you said, they do the neutral sites. They go to Jerry's World. They go to Atlanta, everything like that. They play the game. Yep. It's a one-off. But you know what? And I respect it because they're actually playing teams. But, I just think that's crappy for college football in general, man. You want to see the teams on the other team's field. You want to see these non-traditional matchups happen outside of a bowl game. Like, those are like bowl game matchups. Like, I want to see these teams come to the other universities. I want to have those fan bases interact with those fan bases. You know what I'm saying? And you get that stale environment. It's almost like Super Bowl environment. You don't get the actual home crowd. You don't actually get to deal with the fans because it's split 50-50 down the middle. It's relatively fair. No, man, come to Ohio State. We'll go to your place and we do a one-on-one. Like, that's how it should be. Like, I think that's better for the game.
Oh, no doubt about it. But look at that, Pat. So that Penn State game was a previously contracted game before Saban got there. Saban didn't contract that game. So that's the last time Saban's, Alabama team played at, as far as the non-conference game is concerned. I think there's another one. There's more in there somewhere.
I'm trying to
but it's
find
okay.
it.
I think, but that might have been it. But my point is that why would Nick Saban, who's going to be 70 years old, who does things a certain way, and that certain way has led to a handful of national championships at Alabama alone, why all of a sudden would Alabama and Nick Saban agree to play at Ohio State? Especially, Kev, you know what the kicker of this is? They're going to play at Ohio State first. Like, you know what I mean? Usually the bully in the negotiations usually gets that first one right away, right? Like,
right.
That's interesting. But then again, Ohio State was going to play at Oregon first. So I wonder, that was done before. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder, what do teams prefer when you sign those home and homes? Do teams prefer to play the first game on your home field first? Or do you like to get the second chance game? Do you like the chance to get the revenge game?
I think it all depends on how the coaching staff feels about their team. I think if the coaching staff feels like, all right, man, we got a great chance to win, they got to come to us. Like, if they think they got a chance to win the national championship, they're like, yeah, they got to come to us.
That's true. Justin Fields at Oregon. I trust my veteran quarterback who's played in playoff games and won big games. I trust him, Justin Fields, at Oregon. And then we know we're going to have a freshman quarterback or a first-year quarterback in 21, and at least we would have our freshman quarterback in his first huge game at home at the shoe, at least. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. But you can't predict 10 years from now.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. Like, I'm looking at this Ohio State thing. We got a game scheduled against Georgia in 2030. 2030.
And then they start the Oregon series again in the 22 and 32. 32, that sounds weird. In 2032. How old am I now? So I'm 31. I'll be 41. When those two teams play, I'll be 42 and 43 years old.
Go Bucks.
Still pissing people off right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy with showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high near 82. Tonight's also going to be mostly cloudy with showers and thunderstorms, a low near 70. And tomorrow's going to be mostly cloudy with showers and possibly a thunderstorm, a high near 83. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Pick it up, guys. Pick it up.
At Bowles Builders, demand is through the roof. To keep up, his business needs a stronger foundation.
Cut this all right? Just one sec. Bowles Builders, this is Bow. This weekend? Yeah, we can do it.
Indeed can help him hire the people he needs.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job, you immediately get your short list of quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job criteria. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
At Napa, when it comes to serving you, our motor never quits. And when it comes to getting you the part you need when you need it, with next day delivery or same day pickup, our motor never quits. And when it comes to making a difference in our local communities by hosting fundraisers and food drives, our motor never quits. And when it comes to telling you our motor never quits, yep, you guessed it. Our motor never quits. That's Napa know-how. Same day pickup and next day delivery available at participating stores and on in-stock items only.
Ready, set, summer. Start your summer off fresh with savings on washers and dryers during the Memorial Day Savings event at the Home Depot. Give your laundry room an upgrade with big savings in-store and online on top appliances like LG high-efficiency top-load washers and dryers for just $6.98 each. Right now, you'll save a bundle. So kick off your summer with the Memorial Day Savings event at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. U.S. only while supplies last. Free delivery on purchases of $396 or more, valid through June 9th.
There's nothing better than a fresh-made home-style meal, but not everyone loves the hassle of cooking. At Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, home-style happens here with our famous 12-piece family meal at a great price. This famous family meal includes 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never-frozen chicken that is honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and cooked to perfection, plus 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a home-style meal made easy today with Lee's 12-piece family meal at a great price. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
Just like your favorite hometown baseball team, your Enterprise Roofing team is all about protecting home. We've been locally owned and operated since 1926. So for high-quality roofing repair and replacement services you can count on down the stretch, call 937-240-2206 or visit roofup.com today. Enterprise Roofing is a proud supporter of the Cincinnati Reds.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer, and now is a great time to buy. For a limited time, Honda has extended 0% financing on the 2021 Honda Passport, Honda HR-V, Honda Pilot, and the 2021 Honda Odyssey for well-qualified buyers. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for the complete details. We are located at Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way.
Because it's my vision, I take the most studied eye vitamin brand.
Because it's my vision, I take the eye vitamin brand backed by 20 years of research.
Because it's my vision, I take PreserVision.
Age-related macular degeneration is the leading cause of vision loss in adults over 60. That's why the National Eye Institute did 20 years of clinical studies on the formula that's found in PreserVision. From the eye experts at Bausch & Lomb, PreserVision AREDS 2 formula eye vitamins contain the exact nutrient formula recommended by the National Eye Institute to help reduce the risk of moderate to advanced AMD progression.
Because it's my vision, I made a plan with my doctor that includes PreserVision. Find PreserVision in the vitamin aisle. Available at Walmart.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey everybody, Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. In fact, over 1 million homeowners took advantage of refinancing or buying a new home with Rocket Mortgage. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase again, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. With an official mortgage review from Rocket Mortgage, you'll see just how much money you could save by making a move right now. Don't look back over these next few weeks and wish that you had taken action. You could save hundreds on your mortgage payments or pay off your home loan earlier than planned. You could even take cash out of your home to pay off high interest debt, complete home repairs, or bulk up on an emergency fund. When you want to secure a low rate, Rocket can. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland & Summers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Excuse me. All right, so I said this earlier in the show, and right now the Reds are playing really good baseball. I mean, the fact that they just took 4 on the road at St. Louis, that's huge. That is absolutely huge. And it's like I want to be positive. I want to be optimistic. I want to feel good about the direction of the Cincinnati Reds. They're 4 games back in the NL Central. They have won 7 of their last 10. They're 1 game under 500. But the last 4 opportunities that the Reds have had to even their record up, they've lost all 4. Anytime that they've been a game under 500, their next game to get them to 500 or even go over 500, they have lost. This is a team that is just highly inconsistent. I know they've won 7 of the last 10. They took 2 or 3 from Washington. Then they dropped 2 or 3 to the Cubs. And then they split with the Phillies. And then they took 4 straight on the road at St. Louis, a team that's ahead of them in their own division, which always, that's huge. They're 28-29, 4 games back in the division. The Cubs right now are starting to run away with the division. Good for the Cubs, the Cubs were a team that I think everyone was keeping an eye on, especially because they have so many assets, and everyone thought that they were going to go on the selling spree come the trade deadline. Now, all of a sudden, it's a little interesting for the Cubs because they currently sit there right at the top of the division, and they're the only team in the NL Central that has a positive run differential. They're pitching really well. They're hitting really well. They're putting runs up on the board. Their bullpen has been okay. So it's just one of those things where you're waiting for the wheels to fall off for the Cubs. Here's why I have an issue, or the Brewers, I'm sorry, sitting at their top with the Cubs. The Brewers have won 4 straight. They're at the top. They've won 9 of their last 10. So that's why it's a good thing that the Reds have the Brewers coming up. But keep in mind, when you look at the Cubs and you look at this division, everyone in this team right now, they have their strengths. They have an identity. The Reds don't have an identity. I've been asking since the season started, who are the Reds? They're Jesse Winker, Nick Castellanos, and that's about it. Okay, that's about it, because the Pirates are who we expected them to be. They've been out. Their run differentials minus 75, Kev. And they're 23-35. And the Reds, they're the only team that has a better, they're the only team that is worse than the Reds right now is the Pirates in that division record-wise. That's a problem when you're a team that has spent as much money as the Reds have. They're 28-29, have a chance to even that up at 500 tomorrow as they start a 3-game series with the Brewers. We did an over-under earlier on, over-under at least 1 win for the Reds against the Brewers. I picked the under because the Reds have been so highly inconsistent after these types of winning streaks. Remember, they started the season, 6-1, and you had me reacting, excited about the start to the season for the Reds, and everyone telling me to hold my brakes. Remember, Shaw, to hold my brakes. I was like, I'm not going to hold my brakes. I'm going to take advantage of being optimistic and excited about the team playing really well, because I knew what could potentially happen and what could potentially happen has ended up happening. And now we're sitting here trying to convince ourselves that this team is either better than they are or not as bad as what we were hoping they would not be. 28 and 29. And this is going back to last season, Kev. I teased this earlier that Jesse Winker, who is having a MVP caliber season as we sit here right now, 2.5 months into the season. Season started early April, all of May, and to start June. Jesse Winker and Nick Castellanos are two of the best hitters in baseball. They're two of the top 5 hitters in baseball, and it has just been an amazing turnaround season for Jesse Winker. I wasn't a Jesse Winker fan coming into the season. Everyone kept saying he's one of the best hitters on the team. My biggest knock against Jesse Winker coming into the season was, well, any time that you have to take a guy out of a lineup because he can't face a certain type of pitcher, that's not one of your best hitters. He's a liability at that point. And the better he is, the more of a liability he becomes, because you can't count on that strength, because the second a team brings the lefty in, boom, they're done. Mm-hmm. That hasn't mattered this year. Is he that great against lefties? No, but he has been so damn dominant with the bat in his hand that David Bell has no choice but to keep him in the lineup, and that's what I love to see. He's hitting .350 on the season, Kev. That's second in Major League Baseball. He's tied for the second most home runs in Major League Baseball with 17 home runs. He's second in OPS in Major League Baseball, and he has 37 RBIs. Jesse Winker has had a breakout season for the Cincinnati Reds, and I have no problem if there's a player that I like to knock from time to time and then proves me wrong. I like to be proven wrong. When I'm criticizing players on my favorite teams, there's never a better time to be wrong than that. If I'm saying a player on my favorite team is bad and they become really good, if you think that I am embarrassed by that, I'm not. I'm glad to be wrong. I'm glad that Jesse Winker is carrying this team offensively, him and Nick Castellanos. But here's my fear, Kev.
And it's not hate. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely not hate.
It's nothing
called
wrong.
Criticism.
It's nothing wrong with holding your team to a high standard. I mean, we're in this as fans because we want our teams to win. And the players want to win too. So there's nothing wrong with holding your team that you root for to a high standard.
Yeah, and that's always my big thing too, is like, and I always say this, fans who can't handle people being critical of their team, I don't have respect for that. I know fan is short for fanatic, but at the same time, like, if someone's criticizing your team, it's usually because there's a hole in the lineup, or there's a hole on the offensive line, or there's a hole in the starting 5 in basketball, whatever it is. And usually the person criticizing that team is pointing out something that they need to get better at. Mm-hmm. And more times than not, if not all the time, Jesse Winker, as much as, MVP caliber season so far. But like, I wasn't wrong last year for pointing out that a guy that was a liability offensively, that it didn't matter if he had a 10-game hitting streak. If they put a lefty up on the mound, that's it. He's not going to hit that game. That's a problem when you can't rely on one of your time. I wasn't wrong for pointing that out. So I'm glad that I'm wrong this year, and I'm glad that he's hitting both lefties and righties. And again, top 5 hitter in baseball, second highest batting average in baseball right now, second in OPS, tied for the second most home runs in Major League Baseball. Good for Jesse Winker having this breakout season. But here's my concern. Every home run, Kev, every hit, my stomach turns.
Why?
Because this reminds me of a year ago with Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer, when they traded for Trevor Bauer, when the Cincinnati Reds went out and got Trevor Bauer, they went out to get Trevor Bauer to help bulk up the rotation, to add into the mix with Sonny Gray and Luis Castillo. The Reds had no clue, and I could even guarantee your Indians had no clue that they were giving up a future Cy Young pitcher, right? Like, don't you think that if Cleveland would have known that he was about to embark on a Cy Young level season, do you think they would have given him up for as little or at all?
Probably. Probably not.
Well, they had the depth to do so. Maybe, but my point is that I don't think they would have been as comfortable doing it. There was some behind the scenes issues. There was some severed ties between. He's a tough personality to deal with. But my point is that I think Cleveland could have got a lot more back for him had they known what they were giving up. So it's
to be fair, he wasn't pitching like that though. Like,
well, that was my point. Yeah. So when Cincinnati got him, I don't even think that they had anticipated that they were acquiring a future Cy Young pitcher, especially in Cincinnati, a franchise rich in history, rich in success, rich in World Series, rich in Hall of Fame players. They've never had a Cy Young winning pitcher. They didn't even assume that they were acquiring a Cy Young level pitcher. I think they thought, and the way it was panning out, that he was going to be the third pitcher within that rotation, with Luis Castillo being the ace, Sonny Gray being that perfect second option in that rotation, with Trevor Bauer being right there in the middle at the 3. And then not only did he become the ace, he became one of the best, if not the best pitcher in baseball, at least for a shortened season. Maximizes that, wins the Cy Young, becomes the highest paid pitcher in baseball, and boom, off they go. So my point is the Reds, when they gave up what they did to get him, I think that they thought that he was going to pitch just good enough, that they were going to have to pay him a decent amount, but that they were going to be able to keep him. There became a certain point last year when his ERA was well under 2, when he was unhittable, when he was striking out everything that moved. Trevor Bauer, the better he got as the season went on, Kev, I'm the only one not happy because I saw the writing on the wall. I saw that as Trevor Bauer continued to improve, he was pitching his way out of Cincinnati. Had Trevor Bauer been average, had Trevor Bauer had an ERA north of 3 a little bit, you know what I mean? Had Trevor Bauer done that, he would still be in Cincinnati, and he'd still be a great addition to have in the rotation, don't get me wrong. But the better he got, he was pitching his way out of Cincinnati. And my fear is that that's what's going on with Jesse Winker and or Nick Castellanos. I have no clue what the Reds' plan is come the deadline, and it's coming up fairly quickly. It's not too far off in the distance. And with that, I say, what do you do if you're the Cincinnati Reds? Your farm system right now is down to Nick Lodolo. You have some key pieces in there, but I'm sure they want it to be stronger. This team you're not winning a World Series with this group as is, and there's really not a whole lot of opportunity to go out and get other players. The ownership won't spend money. They knew they needed a shortstop last year, and this heading into the season, they didn't do it. They didn't pull the trigger on the Francisco Lindor deal. Like, there's no direction for this team to get to a World Series as is. The only option they have is to count on the younger pieces in their farm system. They don't have anything in the farm system outside of Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green and obviously Garcia. Garcia changed his name, by the way, recently, but I'll get to that later. But the bottom line is that they don't have a lot of options. The future is kind of bleak as far as options, because when your system is Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green are as good as Reds here within the next year. Mm-hmm. So then what do you have? You have nothing. So Nick Castellanos, who's going to be gone at the end of this season anyways, you're not going to get a haul for him. So even if you do trade him coming up, you're not going to get a lot in return for him because the Reds don't have leverage. Jesse Winker, they do. They do have leverage for Winker. And my concern is that he is hitting his way out of Cincinnati. Could the Reds be the first team in the history of Major League Baseball to have a player win a Cy Young award and lose him, and then win an MVP award and lose him? Can the Reds be well on their way to being that team? The only thing that is throwing a wrench in the plans of the front office, the Reds are to the Castellinis what Aaron Rodgers is to the ownership of the Packers. And that was, he even said it, Aaron Rodgers said, I threw a wrench in their plans because of how good I still am playing. I won an MVP. That wasn't supposed to happen. Right. It was supposed to make it easy. If the decline of Aaron Rodgers happened, it was supposed to make it easy to move on from Aaron Rodgers. And that's not what happened. Now they're kind of stuck. They're like, well, we want to still move on. We want to stick to our plan of moving on to Jordan Love. But how do you move on from an MVP quarterback? That's kind of what the Reds are in right now. Jesse Winker was always good enough to move on from to get some prospects. But how do you convince your fans that he's in line to win an MVP and you're about to move on from him? Kev, this is a very weird predicament that the Reds are in. I think he's hitting his way out of Cincinnati. I think the wrench and the plans are you just swept the Cardinals. The movie Major League, when the owner's pissed that they keep winning because it's getting in the way of the plan. I don't think that the Reds want this team to start winning. I think that they want this team to lose. I think they want fan morale to drop so that they can start the rebuild and give the fans the hope of the rebuild. Because let's face it, we all say we hate a losing team. We all say we hate rebuilds, but we become fascinated with the rebuilds. We become fascinated with the prospects that the team gets back in return. Mm-hmm. We start following the minors a little bit more. Some of those prospects are going to be right here in Dayton playing for the Dragons. Right. So that the bottom line is that I think we're closer to that than anything. The Reds are becoming a wrench in the plans of the Castellini family, in my opinion. That 4-game, there was only one person in the organization not happy about the sweep at the Cardinals. That's the Castellinis. They're getting in the way. Winker's getting in the way. They could trade a good Jesse Winker. They can't trade an MVP Jesse Winker. They can. They'll get a ton back for him, but the fans will riot if that's the case. I just think that this team's very interesting, and I don't know what direction they're going in. That's why I can't get a good feel for it, to be honest. I didn't let you talk at all. My apologies.
No, you good, man. I just think that, if the organization is just trying to start the rebuild now, it'd just be tough for the fan base. It'd be tough for the fan base to deal with another rebuild because the last rebuild didn't get you anything.
Because they waited too long. They waited too long to move Todd Frazier. They waited too long to move Jay Bruce and Cueto and Leak and those guys. They had the All-Star game in town, which I've never understood that mindset of we want to be good with the All-Star team in town. Why does that matter? Great American was going to be filled up. Whether you were the last place team in the NL Central, the first place, that wasn't going to take away the excitement of the All-Star game in Cincinnati. So unless it's just an ego thing of when we have all these executives and all these personnel from Major League Baseball, we want to be proud of the product that we're putting on the field.
Right.
I don't get that. I'll never understand that, but I believe wholeheartedly that they didn't move on. They didn't start that rebuild on time because they wanted to have a good product in town for the All-Star game, which again to me made zero sense.
Do you remember where they were during the All-Star break?
That so what year was that? Hold on, let me look up.
15 maybe.
So it was 15, but see, that was a year too late. They should have started the year before. That was Brian Price's first year, and they were actually within like a couple games of first place at the All-Star break, and then they imploded. They got swept by the Yankees coming out of the break, and then Brian Price never had a product worth the damn moving forward after that. Interesting nonetheless. But the highlight of all of that was the Reds kept everything intact. They started the rebuild late just to have Todd Frazier win the home run derby, and that be the highlight of that Reds team this past decade. This past decade, the highlight of the Reds was Todd Frazier winning the home run derby in Cincinnati. That's it. What's in store for the 2020s? Well, they made the playoffs in that COVID-shortened season, and they're about to trade away an MVP a season after potentially losing. They're potentially going to trade an MVP a season after losing a Cy Young winning pitcher for the first time in franchise history. So there's that. That's the cue. That's the music. That's Kev saying, "Shut up, Kinner. We got to hit this commercial break." We'll step away for a few moments. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hi, Pete Kasugi here to tell you that if you're looking for the very best selection of your favorite garden plants, we grow over 125 varieties of tomatoes, peppers, cabbage, broccoli, cucumber, okra, cantaloupe, and eggplants. And if you haven't tried our famous Neighbor Beater tomato plants, come out and pick up a few and enjoy the best taste you ever had from your garden. They taste so good, you'll wish you planted more. And remember, Neighbor Beater garden plants are sold only at our garden center at 1309 Brand Pike. So get out that shovel and start digging. It's time for gardens, bedding plants, rose bushes, vines, and ground covers, shade trees and shrubs, bird baths and fountains, and so much more. So join the green revolution and come out and see us at 1309 Brand Pike.
Mattress Firm's best Memorial Day sale ever has been extended. Right now, save up to $500 on our top-rated brands when you get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin. Plus, get a free adjustable base when you spend $6.99 on Sealy. Or save up to $500 on Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Shop America's best brands confidently with our low price guarantee. Hurry into Mattress Firm. Offer valid with qualifying purchase. Restrictions apply. Valid at participating locations only. For offer details, visit mattressfirm.com/sale.
With double the seasoned beef and a large drink all for $5, Taco Bell's Grande Nachos truly deserves a Grande intro, perhaps with a Grande beat box. Said it's crunchy, cheesy, beef. Actually, that sounded better in my head. Go get the $5 Grande Nachos before they make every exit. Nope, only at Taco Bell. At limited participating locations for a limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Tax extra. Drinks excludes freezes. Double the seasoned beef as compared to the Nachos Bell Grande.
Many Vietnam War veterans were unknowingly exposed to dangerous chemicals impacting their health and quality of life. There are now expanded benefits for veterans exposed to Agent Orange. Veterans with Parkinsonism, bladder cancer, or hypothyroidism who previously applied for VA disability compensation but were denied should reapply and might be eligible for retroactive compensation. Exposed veterans who have not yet applied should consider filing a new claim. For assistance, call Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring for more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland & Summers. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Reds Brewers Game 1 of a 3-game series starting tomorrow night, 7:10 the first pitch, 6:40 the pregame. All right, here on Dayton's home of the Cincinnati Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio. So this is big for the Reds again. They're going to have, Sonny Gray on the mound. In Game 1 against the Brewers. They've won 4 straight. They've won 7 of their last 10. I know I kind of beat up on them a little bit. I hope the direction is not to blow this up. I do know they need to make some moves, but I think that if the Reds are within, if they take 2 or 3 from the Brewers, they can cut this to within 2.5 games between them and the top. Then all of a sudden it's a 4-team race for that division. The problem is that the Reds are 6 games back in the wild card. And they just made up a lot of, they were, I think, 6.5 back to start this past weekend, made up a lot of ground, or this past Thursday, made up a lot of ground with that sweep over the Cardinals. But you can't count on sweeps against division rivals on the road at that. You got to look at, taking 2 or 3 consistently. That's going to be tough. But the Reds have a tough stretch coming up. Again, 3 with the Brewers. They have Rockies at home at least, but then they're at the Brewers for 3. They're at San Diego for 4. Then they're at Minnesota. Then they got the Braves, the makeup game with Philly. They got 18 straight games without an off day. Now, again, rain and weather could play a role in that too. But then then they have 3 more with the Padres, and then the Cubs. And then you're heading into, you got Kansas City and the Brewers to close things out. And then you're at the All-Star break. I can't believe, as I'm looking at the Reds schedule, you scroll down once or twice and boom, there's the break right there. I feel like the season just started. So all I know is we could be as negative, I could be as negative as people accuse me of being. But I will say this. It's June 7th, and the Reds are interesting. And the Reds are in it. And they're within striking distance, and they have a shot. I know it's not the best feeling in the world because this team still has a lot of flaws, but damn it, I'll take this team right now doing what they're doing over what we've seen for the past 7-8 years since the rebuild started back in 2014. So that's kind of where I'm at with that, to put a positive spin on all of this. Who we got on hold, Kev?
We got Dickie.
Dickie, how are you?
Oh, I've been pretty busy, Justin and Kevin. How you been?
Real good.
Hey, we got your card a while back. It's hung up here in the studio.
Hey, Justin, I agree with you. This is a time. I think the pitching has to do. You got to be playing consistent ball now. Mm-hmm. But they kind of impressed me, like you said. There's got to be 2 or 3 from Milwaukee, doesn't it?
I think so. Dropping 2 or 3 doesn't end the season. Every time I think that the season's about to get away from them, they go and pull off a weird stunt, like taking 4 straight from the Cardinals at St. Louis. But you can't count on those unusual happenings happening. So they have to take 2 or 3 from the Brewers, Dickie, mainly because it's at home. Like what they did on the road at the Cardinals, that's a fantastic story, but they can cancel it all out if they drop 2 or 3 at home against the Brewers. So to build on that, to expand on sweeping the Cardinals on the road in 4, they need to take 2 or 3 from the Brewers to make that an even more effective road stand, because if not, they're going to wash it out if they drop 2 or 3 to the Brewers at Great American.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you something to you and Kevin. May 16th was a special day for me. They had a little party for me. I've been in the home improvement business 25 years, Justin and Kevin.
Congratulations.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that come over and see me, and talk about the Reds, and they say Justin, it's really nice. You know what I mean?
Oh, no, absolutely. And how has your banjo career been this summer?
Oh, I just wanted to tell you, I joined a different group.
Oh, you're pulling a LeBron. Where'd you take your talents?
No, LeBron. One of the guys in the band, Sue leads the Beaver Creek Stummers. There's 10 ukuleles. And, I've been having, you got all the rock and roll, you got bluegrass, you got Hawaiian music. And we've got a concert this Saturday.
So what are you? Are you the Hawaiian music?
Well, we even get into, we do everything. And a first that the Clifton Opera House, June 26th, they want us to come down there. I think everybody will be back after the COVID.
So you got a little all-star team. You're like the Brooklyn Nets. Are you Kevin Durant? Are you James Harden or Kyrie Irving, Dickie?
Well, I don't know. I guess I call myself, I do 3 things. I work, I go to college, and I play music.
Hold on, time out. Where do you go to college, Dickie?
I go to Sinclair, the Credit for Lifelong Learning program.
First of all, I think that is awesome. I love to hear that you were keeping busy and doing a bunch of little things. I love to hear that you have extracurriculars that keep you busy. You keep your studies going at college, and of course, you work your tail off. Dickie, that's awesome. I didn't know you were going to college. That's really cool to hear. And I love the stuff you're doing, with the band and everything. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And, I think I'm some of the people, Dave there, my manager says Dick from Dayton. He says he knows his sports. He knows his announcers. But, I have to say somebody that I did get to talk to a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. He was like, he talked to me a line. I got to talk to Dan Horde.
Oh, no kidding. Good stuff. He's a great guy. Even with all the stuff I say about the Bengals, he's a great guy.
Too. I know they ask about me. Tony Grossi, Jim Donovan, and Doug Deacon.
Oh, yeah. Every time I see Tony, he asks about you.
Oh, does he?
Yes. He always asks how Dick and Dayton is doing. I say he's keeping the phone lines busy. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
But Dickie, congratulations. Congratulations on the work milestone, and hopefully the Reds will keep it up, and, we'll get closer to Browns football here in the near future.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, guys.
Ours as well. You take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yeah. He's a busy guy.
Man.
He's in the band.
He find time.
Going to college in the band and working his tail off at the local Lowe's. So good for him. But no, Dickie's a great dude. Always appreciate when he calls in. Vincent Waller on Facebook, Kev, says, as much as it would suck for the Reds to trade Winker and Castellanos, they may need to do it. Their farm system is weak, and they are a wild card team who likely doesn't get out of the first round of the playoffs at best with the current roster. And Vince, those are two valid points. That was my point to start the show, or to start the Reds conversation earlier this hour, when I brought up the fact that even if this team's rolling right now, okay, we saw the deficiencies within that bullpen. Oh, well, we've seen it all season, but we saw it, front and center yesterday. They were lucky to come away with that. They were lucky to come away with that win yesterday against the Cardinals. And even had they lost, you could still feel good about taking 3 or 4 from the Cardinals on the road, right? But you took all 4, but there's still the glaring holes that need to be addressed. And even if they make the playoffs, I agree with Vincent, they're a wild card team. They won't even be favored to win that 1-game wild card, in my opinion. So even with that, you keep this roster intact. You don't bolster your farm system, all in effort to what? Get to a 1-game wild card that you're not going to be favored to win anyways. Like, shouldn't every move you make be about setting yourself up to be a World Series team? Or is this just about dropping a playoff team together every once in a while and keeping the intrigue there? I'm not a big fan of blowing this up and starting over, but I agree with Vincent. They just don't have enough right now to be contenders. But my problem is that you do. You have Suarez, who's not playing well, but again, I think that he's going to eventually at some point get out of that, right? Like, I mean, at what point does a slump just become who you are? But with everything that they have, adding pieces to this makes them better. The answer isn't always blowing it up. But Vincent, I know, is a very intelligent man and knows damn well that these opinions are stemming from the history of how the Reds handle things, and how the Reds handle things is usually blowing it up as opposed to investing money into it. And I think if they invested money into this, you have, I like Tyler Mahle. I think you had one more good veteran arm. I like Wade Miley. I think they need one more puncher in there. One more puncher to go with Luis Castillo and Sonny Gray. And then you have Wade Miley and Tyler Mahle. It's a very good rotation. You need some more punchers in that bullpen. And I think this offense has proven they're still one of the top lineups in baseball. So they're not that far off, but we feel like they're far off because we don't trust the front office to make the right decisions. And he's right. The farm system is not stacked. The weapons they do have are on the verge of being called up. And once Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green get called up, they don't really have anyone else in the farm system that is close to being a future all-star, and that's going to be the big concern. Castellanos and, of course, Winker are the answers to the problem, and the problem is they don't have a whole lot in the tank moving forward. I want to be excited about this Reds team. I really do. It's just I trust the roster. I even like David Bell to a certain extent to manage this moving forward.
Like it hurts you to say that.
Because I just don't think he's the problem. I do regret you dropping his name, and every time I criticize this team, but he's one of the problems, but if I had to prioritize the top 3, he's not even coming in the top 5. So that's why I'm regressing on that take a little bit, but the front office has to do a better job. That's really what it comes down to. I always say, it's managing. Kev, there's not a manager out there that's going to manage that bullpen and make them better.
Right.
So there's that. Hour 3 next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Credit Karma Money is a brand new checking account where you can win daily Instant Karma purchase reimbursements on items up to $5,000. Over $3 million in Instant Karma has already been given away to over 50,000 Credit Karma members and counting. Visit creditkarma.com/winmoney now to open your free account and start winning Instant Karma. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney. Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MVB Bank Inc. Member FDIC. Maximum balance and transfer limits apply.
You took an antacid, and now your frequent heartburn is back. Stop heartburn before it begins with Prilosec OTC. Its unique delayed-release formula blocks heartburn at the source for 24 hours, so you can extinguish heartburn before it starts. Make the switch to Prilosec OTC today and live heartburn-free. Prilosec OTC. 1 pill a day, 24 hours, 0 heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
O'Reilly. Get more miles on the road with O'Reilly Auto Parts. A clean fuel system means better gas mileage for your car. Right now at O'Reilly Auto Parts, get 2 bottles of Lucas Fuel Injector Cleaner for $8. Plus, earn double O Rewards points. For a clean, lubricated, more fuel-efficient system, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
On June 10th, streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. You and I are infinites. When you've lived many lifetimes. What do I know that you need so bad?
That's why you're here, to find out.
The possibilities are infinite. We have fought one another for centuries. Hello, old friend. Mark Wahlberg.
Let's go. You know what, man? I like you this time around.
Infinite. Rated PG-13. Streaming June 10th on Paramount Plus.
When the doctor told us about my mom's cancer, it made me feel so helpless. Until I called the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and spoke with Grace, who answered all of my questions about the disease, treatment options, and cancer-related expenses. Her support and compassion made us feel whole again. Today, I'm calling Grace to let her know my mom is beating cancer. To learn more, visit lls.org.
I can't take this anymore.
I have nowhere to go. Lost my job.
I feel alone.
Crisis Text Line is here to help day or night. Text 4HOPE to 741-741 for free and confidential support. Text with a trained volunteer to move from that hot moment to a cool calm.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Don't wait to get a new job. Express Employment Professionals is hiring more than 35,000 jobs. Find your local Express office at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
There are many ways to catch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. You can catch it live right here on 1410 Wing AM, or you can stream the show at wingam.com. But now we have another way that you can take in the show. You can now watch the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. It's live, it's local, it's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Kirkland and Summers.
All right, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash, hanging out with you here on a Monday. So last week, one of the biggest news and one of the biggest headlines in all of sports was, of course, Mike Krzyzewski going to announce that he's going to call it a career after this upcoming 2021 college basketball season. Big news from a coaching front in college football, kind of. Maybe. Nick Saban in Alabama, it was made official today that they've agreed on an extension that'll keep Nick Saban as the head coach of the Crimson Tide to the end of the 2028 season. His contract will take him up to February of 2029. So keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, the big question is, we did our over-under earlier about over-under one game of Nick Saban pacing the sidelines when Ohio State and Alabama kick off their home-and-home series in 2027. Ohio State and Alabama will kick off that home-and-home series at the Shoe, obviously in 2027, and then the return game to Alabama in 2028. We did our over-under one game of at least Nick Saban, being the head coach of the Crimson Tide. I don't believe he'll be the head coach come that time. There's just it's a lot of time between now and then. He's already an older coach. We'll see. But I did see Paul Feinbaum put out an interesting question. Let's say that 2028 is his last year as a head coach in college football, and it's 2021 right now. So that's 7 more years.
Yeah.
Here's a new over-under. Over-under one national championship for Alabama in that time frame. And he has won 6 national championships with Alabama. He's won 7 total in his career. He has won 6 national championships. He's been the head coach at Alabama for 14. Didn't realize it was that long. That's a long time.
Yeah.
I knew it's been a while, but I don't know why 14. That would put him 20 years at Alabama if he did make it to the end of 2028. That included, in that stretch, he has 3 BCS championships, in 2009, 11, and 12. And then, of course, you look at the success that he's had. He's been the most successful program in the college football playoff era with 6 college football playoff appearances and 5 championship appearances and a college football playoff championship in 15, 17, and 20. The dude is just raking, man. Good for him. Now, with that, let's say he's around for 7 more years. He just dominated since the college football playoff has started. He has been absolutely dominant. And right now, assuming it stays at 4, and I think by the time you get to 28, we could see this baby expanded by then. There's a good chance. In fact, I'd put good money on that happening. I'm not a fan of that, but I do think that's where it's headed. Kev, I still think over-under one national championship for him. I'm going to take the over. I think if he coaches through 28, I think he at least gets 2. At least gets 2 more. I'm taking the over on at least one over-under one national championship.
Over. I'm going to go over as well. Even though I don't have them winning the national championship this year in my early view of things, I say they win a national championship next season, and then we go from there. But I don't have them winning this year, but I will go with you as well. I will go with the over.
Yeah, let's say they win it in 22, because I don't anticipate them winning it. It's just a weird transition year from quarterback. Mm-hmm. But again, it's Alabama. They don't rebuild, they reload. Same thing with Ohio State and Clemson, and that's the expectation. But let's say they win one in 22. That's still 6 more years.
Mm-hmm.
2 is even low. As long as his recruiting doesn't die off, but he's laid in the groundwork. I said this about Coach K. People say he doesn't even work that hard anymore because of all the work he put in at the beginning. Alabama's a well-oiled machine right now. Does Nick Saban have to work as hard as recruiting as others? That's dumb of me to say he's not working as hard as others.
I think he is working just as hard. I think he's working harder than everybody.
But he has found a system that doesn't feel like work. It doesn't feel like work to him. This is it's a well-oiled machine. He knows when to talk to these kids, when to invite them to camps, when to talk to them at camps. It's not work because it's secondhand nature to them.
Right.
That's what I mean by that. So other coaches who have to work, they have to out recruit Alabama. Alabama just they're in competition with Ohio State and Clemson, and that's about it. Outside of that, and within their conference, that's disrespectful to LSU and Georgia and others, but their real threats are Clemson and Ohio State at this point on the recruiting trail. I just think that, I think that he has a well-oiled machine all around him, and it starts with his assistant coaches who, again, are plucked every year. But, man, he's yet to be slowed down by that. He's yet to be slowed down.
Do you believe in that adage that teams like Ohio State and Alabama, they don't recruit, they select? Do you believe that?
Because they built the program to be what it is. I think that those are the destination schools. Let's not kid ourselves. I don't think Georgia and LSU and Auburn are destination schools in the SEC, but they have to work harder. They have to study harder for the exam while the smart kid in class is probably out drinking the night before the big exam. That's Alabama. But they've put their work in. They studied all week long. They did all their work, but they don't have to study as hard for the final exam. LSU, Auburn, Georgia, they have to put in the extra work to get the same level kids that Alabama does. For Alabama, it's like, okay, you take them 4, we'll take these 20, we'll call it a day. Like, that's kind of how it is. And Ohio State's the same way in the Big Ten, and Clemson's the same way in the ACC. Every conference has that, except the Big 12. It's Oklahoma, but I'm not putting Oklahoma to the Big 12 is not what Alabama is to the SEC, and Ohio State is to the Big 10, and Clemson is to the ACC. But the Big 12 and the Pac-12, there's a reason that they're the two conferences that are behind everyone else, because they don't have that Ohio State, they don't have that Clemson, and they don't have that Alabama. That's what's missing from both of those conferences. But yeah, I know what you're saying about the select. I think they select a lot. I think those are destination schools because of the head coaches and the lineage of coaches that has put them on that position to be that way.
June 7th. Who's your Final Four for the college football playoff?
I think it's going to be Ohio State out of the Big Ten. Obviously, I shouldn't say obviously because we don't know. We don't know how CJ Stroud is going to be. But CJ Stroud, I'm going to say Ohio State out of the Big Ten. Alabama, I still think is going to be there. I mean, they've done nothing to prove otherwise. I like the Uguale kid, the quarterback for Clemson. I think Clemson's going to be right back there. And then I think that Texas. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say that we're gonna see Sarkisian and Texas get there. Alabama the 1 seed against Texas, and Sarkisian the 4 seed, and then of course Ohio State Clemson in the first round of the playoff. So there's that.
We're gonna do this every month. We're gonna do this every month up until kickoff. I'm gonna go with Ohio State, of course, homers. Georgia, Sooners, and
I forgot about the Sooners with Rattler, though. They're in better position than Texas, who doesn't really have a set quarterback at this point. That's a good I forgot about I shouldn't say I forgot about Oklahoma. I was just trying to give the Sarkisian effect there, so who knows. But,
so on June 7th, before camp is opened, before school's enrolled, before guys are showing up, those are our Final Four picks. It's probably going to happen, too. It's probably going to happen.
Who knows?
But as of right now, I got Georgia winning it all.
Georgia winning. Oh, they bring back pretty much. I keep forgetting about Georgia. They pretty much bring back everybody on that offense.
It's championship or bust for Georgia.
And this is their opportunity. This is their opportunity. Tua's gone. Mac Jones is gone. Yes, I know it's the next man up, and they'll probably be just as good of a quarterback waiting there. That we didn't think Mac Jones was going to be as good as what he was. So who's to say that the quarterback this upcoming year for Bama won't be the same? But this is it. Daniels for Georgia. They have to capitalize on everything. It's the perfect storm for them. Alabama's coming off one of the greatest seasons of all time in their program's history, but they lost a ton to the NFL. Georgia's going to be more experienced, maybe not as talented, but as experienced, and they have the recruits, they have the talent to do it. If Georgia doesn't win the national championship, or if they don't at least get to the title game, it's a completely failed season for them. So we'll see how that pans out. So there you go. More of the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, next.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be mostly cloudy with showers and possibly a thunderstorm.